very good evening, everybody. Nice to have your company wherever you're tuning in all around Australia or indeed the world across the platforms. The Gentleman Sim Racing Club, Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Welcome to the penultimate edition of Monday Night Motorsport for Term 2 of 2023. Yep, that's right. We're up to night 1 of week 9 already. And to end the King's Birthday long weekend, for those of you smart enough to observe it simultaneously in the progressive and civilised parts of the country, it's an Aussie doubleheader for all waste options. Monday Night Motorsport, GT4 first up from Southwest Sydney, from the famed former Oran Park Raceway, living its legacy on in the virtual world, of course, and then we'll head further west to Mount Panorama Bathurst. There it is on your screen momentarily for Waste Options GT3, and we'll be bringing you the AM split this time around. I'm Zach Caban, Liam Banks and Adam Lavis are here as well. Welcome to what will be a cracking 25 minutes and a very congested 25 minutes around the Oran Park Raceway in Sydney, where we can tell you that it's 21 degrees ambient and 23 on track at this point in time. The clock's about to tick over to, I'd say, 4 o'clock race time here. 2.62 kilometres this circuit and 78% humidity. A cloudy afternoon. Of course, it is a little bit behind the actual time. Normally, we're looking at the comparisons thinking, okay, yep, we're ahead of ourselves, but we're actually behind at the moment because we've gone back to 3:30 to 3:40 this afternoon. Clock moving twice as fast as it would in the real world. And, of course, we are looking forward very much to a vitally important outing here. Everything to play for. Championships can be won and lost tonight. When you look at the picture that tells the story, 35 the margin between Rd-9 and Jordan Malcolm. It might be a bridge too far beyond tonight if Rd-9 can get the job done here. Michael Hammond and Sam Muir in a tantalising battle for third. 290 points for Nick Wood makes up the top 5, and a long gap back then to Nick Fodiatis, Alan Dawson, Dale Sharp, Jack Jackson and Sam Chapman making up the top 10. 4 of the 5 manufacturers are represented in the 10 at the moment. The only one not is McLaren, and of course their best placed is Jeff Adams, sitting there in 11th place. Let's have a look at the grid as we get ready to rock and roll here. This penultimate round of the championship. Remembering next Monday night, of course, ladies and gentlemen, a later start to the GT3 finale over 90 minutes at the Red Bull Ring, because these guys will be running a 45-minute grand finale. More on that at the end of the broadcast. We've actually gone back to earlier in the afternoon, if you can believe that. We've gone back to 2:30 p.m. So the server did not move forward at all as I anticipated it would. We're about 5 hours. It's gone back to earlier the start. Sorry? Oh, okay, right. So qualifying Saturday, race Sunday, essentially is what you're saying. Sunday, Monday. Yep, gotcha. Good evening to you, Adam Lavis. June 12, 2023, 2:30 in the afternoon. So about 5 hours behind where we are real time at the moment, Australian Eastern Standard Time. 21 degrees still, 22 on track, and cloudy conditions remain. Jared Knight and Adam Burhop the front row, Greg Favell and Jordan Malcolm the second row. Russ Green and Sam Chapman the third, Anthony Visma, Nick Fodiatis the fourth, Gary Cousins, Jake Jackson the fifth. 6th row, Sam Muir, Alan Dawson. 7th, Dale Sharp, Clint Collard. 8th, Paul Wood, Dane Snatton. 9th is Craig Taberti and Dale Jeffries. 10th row is David Christensen and Nick Wood. 11th row is where you'll find Mark Franklin and John Simpson, then Joe Baldwin and Robert McGrath, then Josh Robertson and Aidan Schultz, then Wayne Edwards and Josh Millard, then Brian Bullock and Mitch McIntyre making up the first 15 rows of the grid. 16th row, Stephen Brooks and Benjamin Hutchinson. 17th, Phil King and Juzzy B. Eduardo Zamora and Chris Carey from the 18th row, Adam Johnson, Brendan Soper, Scott Craig and Oliver Patterson, with Tyson Hanma and Wayne Vizzer making up this field. But I've got a feeling that Viz might be busy in race control because he hasn't taken his position on the grid here, and someone's got to keep these lunatics under control. Liam Banks, good evening to you. Always nice to see a few cameo appearances because it's Oran Park.
Absolutely. Look at the ridiculous grid we've got here. 40 cars. They stretch almost as far as the eye can see down that straight. And tell you what, they're not going to have much real estate to play with, are they? 40 cars around here. That is going to be about as dense as the kid in play school that wouldn't stop eating the glue sticks.
It's going to get very hectic very quickly here. And on a night where there's no margin for error for those championship contenders, this has got trouble written all over it because it's a very tight, narrow racetrack. It's a short racetrack, and there's very little way in overtaking opportunities. And look at that already! Brilliant start. Down the main straight we go. Monday Night Motorsport underway, and there's 3 wide on the run to 1. Oh, trouble! Big moment. Oh, how lucky was Rd-9? And Burhop's gone at turn 1 with a drift and a lock up, and then a date with the kitty litter. He's dropped down 13 positions already. Knight skips away from pole. Jordan Malcolm a great start up to second. Greg Favell slotted at third. Sam Chapman up 2 spots. Ross Green has stayed where he started. Nick Bodiatis up 2 spots to 6th place. Jake Jackson up 3. Alan Dawson up 4. Now displaced by Anthony Visma. Still 2x2 off the bridge. The safety car's sitting in pit lane at the moment. I've got a feeling we might see it on track. At some point, more contact. That was Jake Jackson into Anthony Visma, I'm pretty sure. Alan Dawson in trouble. Oh, Alan Dawson's crabbing, I think. He's got some steering issues. We might see Dawson coming to pit lane here. Uh-oh. Down they come, into turn 12 for the first time. Onto the main straight. It's like peak hour on the M7. Bang, gone, off to the left-hand side of turn 12 there was Russ Green. So that's undone his good start. From 5th down to 23rd now for Russ. And Alan Dawson still trying to muscle out Paul Wood and Dale Sharp. And Wood now up on the outside. 1:07 a lap around here in qualifying. 1:14.83 the standing time for Jared Knight. Those times will plummet, but it gives you an indication that we're heading for somewhere in the vicinity of probably 23 laps in this race. Plus a splash and dash. If we go green the whole way, of course. And that's a rough guesstimate on my part. Probably could tidy it up a little bit, but haven't had a chance to think about the Zaculator just yet. There's so much going on out there, and now Nick Bodiatis is in the wall as well on the ground too.
That's the heftiest hit we've seen all night. I don't think that car's going to be going anywhere. He's going to have to tow back to pit lane. That'll be a hefty tow, and he'll be effectively out of this race. And we see someone diving up the inside of Dale Sharp there. That's Adam Burhoff to recover from his spin at the second corner on lap 1. Just carried a bit too much speed into turn 1. Couldn't get it slowed down into turn 2. Had to try and get the brakes on while he still had some lock on the steering. That's what sent him spinning at turn 2.
Dale Jeffries off the road at the moment. Down to 36th place. Robert McGrath already out of business. Oliver Patterson has got out there on the racetrack and is up in 26th spot. He was showing down the bottom of the order, but has got back out on the racetrack. I think he might have started from pit lane, and that's why the mathematics weren't adding up for him. But he's slotted back into 26th place, and that's obviously shuffled the order about a little bit. Chris Carey, Brian Bullock, Aidan Schultz and Wayne Visser were non-starters. So we started with 38, we're down to 37. Dale Jeffries, the last of the runners at the moment. Now it's Stephen Brooks who's in pit lane. Mark Franklin's there as well, so too Nick Bodiatis. Can those guys run the checkered flag? My suspicion would be no. Red time will tell. 21 and a half to go at Oran Park, and Jared Knight leads Jordan Malcolm by 2 seconds.
Yeah, now we're on board with Greg Favell, which is a new name to the GSRC as far as I'm aware, so welcome to the GSRC. He's trying to put pressure on Jordan Malcolm. We saw Jordan Malcolm get past earlier. Because of a Greg Favell mistake, he went off wide at a corner, and Jordan Malcolm just sent it up the inside and got past him while Favell was recovering. But it seems like Favell's got more pace. Malcolm has not been able to get away from him at all, and there's no straights around here to get a slipstream benefit. So if you are staying right behind the car ahead, you probably are the faster driver. You just need to find a way past, and that's what Favell's trying to do. We saw him all over the road and a bit more, putting 2 wheels on the dirt, trying to find a way to create an overlap, create a gap where he can get past Jordan Malcolm and go chase down Jared Knight before Jared Knight gets too far away, given that that gap is already out to 2 seconds and we're only through a handful of laps.
And this isn't like Formula V racing, of course, where because they're nice and slow in terms of their top speed, every overtaking opportunity at every corner is a possibility. With these guys, the overtaking opportunity is going to come at a premium tonight. Adam Burhoff, another moment. Down the inside goes Paul Wood up into the top 10. Oh! Side by side through the dog leg if you don't mind. Burhoff's not giving up without a fight. And now Paul Wood might get hung out to dry there as well. From Dale Sharp down the main straight. Sharp slots back in. But yes, overtaking opportunities are going to be presented at a premium to these guys tonight. Turn 2, absolutely. Turn 12's a possibility. Turn 3 on the over and under out of turn 2. Maybe turn 4 if you want to force the issue. Not much else is going to be there up for grabs unless you can force the guys around you into a mistake.
thing is, it's so dense out there that I think a bunch of the guys are not going to have any option. They're going to have to go for the overtake, because if they don't go for it, if the car ahead isn't taking an optimal line and they have to check up for the car ahead, they're going to get overtaken themselves. It's a case of overtake, even if it's not a genuine overtaking place, or be overtaken, because if you're not bold and you don't go for it, somebody else will. And that's what we saw there with the two drivers, Paul Wood and Adam Burhoff, going side by side through that chicane, which is devilishly tricky at the best of times. I've been watching there, Sam Chapman trying to defend from this one getting past at the final corner.
We've seen some good racing here in the past. This will go down as one of the best, I think. There's that many cars out there. There's that many positional battles. Remember way back at the start of, I think it was season 2021, when, of course, Scotty Rankin and Nick Fodiatis took the reins in commentary for the night while I was still home with the family. We had GT3 around Oran Park. We had a similar size entry list. And the boys just said it was carnage from the outset. It was action aplenty, and the voice boxes didn't last the distance. We're in trouble here already. We're only 6.5 minutes in, but already so much has unfolded. And so many cars are out of contention, but still out there making up the numbers. We've lost Robert McGrath, of course, but Ben Hutchinson's out there, Stephen Brooks, Mark Franklin and Scott Craig lap down. Nick Fodiatis, the last of those on the lead lap, and he's all the way down in position number 33. Jared Knight, fastest lap of the race thus far, Robert at 8.126, 2.8 seconds clear at Jordan Malcolm. Favell and Jackson giving him a hurry up. You're watching Jake Jackson on screen there right now. Little gap back to Vincent, Chapman and Fewer, then Cousins, then Dawson, Burhoff, then Sharp, Wood, Collard, Snowden and Wood, all in a logjam here for 12.
They are, and I think if you look at that track map at the top right of your screen, you can see how chaotic it is out there. And just keep an eye on there. 92 is just in the top right of that track map, and then look for the next car along the track. There's not much of a gap there already. There's only maybe a quarter of a lap there. He's going to catch, Jared Knight is going to catch the back of the train and have the snake bite its tail pretty soon, and that's going to be the time where deciding when to pit is going to be critical, because no matter what, either stays out and he's behind really slow traffic, or he pits and he goes behind slightly faster traffic. There's no correct decision. It's going to be really hard for him to decide what he does, and there is a car stricken on the exit of this corner by the looks of it. Yep. There it is on the inside.
Oh, on the inside. Jeez, that's an off-track excursion for Mitch McIntyre, and not one that he'd be enjoying either. 108.085, fastest lap of the race for Adam Burhoff. He's finally strung one together. We've had 7 laps completed here. We're on lap 8. Knight leads, Malcolm second. Visma now with the fastest lap, the first one into the 7th. 107.986. And as the tyres warm up and as the logjam somewhat spreads and clears, those times will come down. That was an incredible moment for Burhoff. And again, how lucky was Jared Knight. That could have been one of those stunners in the works that I was talking about to the boys off there before we got going here. Whenever someone like Burhoff comes in and makes a cameo appearance, all you need is someone that isn't in championship contention to get in the way of someone that is in championship contention, and it changes the whole narrative, and it very nearly happened there.
Yeah, so close, wasn't it? And it was such an easy mistake to make. It's a real credit to the field that they all got through those first 2 corners on lap 1 pretty much unscathed, because those first 2 corners are so difficult. You come into the first corner, depending on the car, flat, a bit of a lift. There's a bit of chaos in the background, in the background there. 5 cars piling up. But you come into that first corner, maybe a bit of a lift, sometimes just about full throttle. Partial throttle, really depends on the car, and then you immediately, as soon as you stop turning, you're on the brakes for the second corner, and it's so tricky to actually carry the maximum amount of speed through corner 1 and still make corner 2. A small misjudgment into corner 1 and you are off at corner 2, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's what we saw there, and we will see that again throughout the race. And that's an unsafe rejoin there.
Yeah, Stephen Brooks. Jeez. Off track now, Clint Collard and Dane Snadden, but they've both managed to get back on. We go back to the battle for second. Jordan Malcolm fending off Greg Favell, and also Jake Jackson. Anthony Visma's now weighing into this as well. 4-way fight for second. Let's have a look at what happened here to Dane Snadden. To turn 1. Oh, just caught the gravel. Yep.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Just carried in too much speed into turn 1, 2 wheels on the gravel, couldn't do anything. He was a passenger from then on, and the car in front was just...
Jordan Malcolm! A championship defining moment if ever there was one, and he's now gone back to 14th, and he'll come straight to pit lane. That's about the only consolation of that incident is that he was on the last corner. He's able to dive straight into pit lane, get his fast repair, but he can kiss the win goodbye.
Yeah, lost about 12 places before he dived into the pit lane. He's going to make all those up at a track where it is hard to overtake, where it's incredibly dense. No way that's happening. That is him out of the fight for the podium places. It'd be good if we get a replay to see how that started. It's a bit of an odd incident. So let's watch here.
Has he done it all on his own, or has he got some assistance? Let's wait and see. We're riding on board with Greg Favell.
2 wheels on the grass.
He caught the grass. He caught the grass. Second car to do it, but the first of the championship contenders to really come undone tonight. Adam Burhoff now back in 9th place. Dale Sharp is the next one down the road, about 4 seconds, just coming into shot at the top of the screen there. Burhoff's all over the back of Alan Dawson like a cheap suit, about to try and find his way back into the top 8. Visma, the fastest lap of the race, 107.986. Knight, Favell, Jackson and Visma and Chapman make up the top 5. Our good mate Sam Chapman's having a good run at this point of the season, isn't he? And then Sam Muir and Gary Cousins, then Alan Dawson, Adam Burhoff and Dale Sharp make up the top 10.
Yeah, and of those championship contenders, I mentioned it a few times, Jared Knight obviously leading the championship in first place, looking to pretty much wrap it up here tonight. His main competitor there, the only competitor really in the top 10 is Sam Muir, and Sam Muir is quite far back in the standings. He's 4th in the standings, 46 points behind. He's going to be further behind after tonight. Jordan Malcolm, we just saw had a crash, and Michael Hammond, yeah, I've yet to see in the server.
Absolutely, they will be, Andrew. Yep, a few of these guys will be facing the naughty corner at some point tonight once race control gets a hold of the tape. Once the stewards have a look at the footage. Oh dear. There have been some incidents. There have been. That being said, though, for all the incidents that have involved 1 or 2 cars, or 2 or 3 cars, you know, and definitely a guilty victim in all of this, and a protagonist, there have been just as many isolated single car incidents as well, which is drivers tripping themselves up, like Burhoff, like Malcolm. So we've had much of a muchness in that regard here at Oran Park. We're 13 minutes into the race. We're half race distance. We've got Greg Favell with the fastest lap of the race, 107.912. We're watching Alan Dawson chase Adam Burhoff. Burhoff's got his way into the top 8. He's chasing Gary Cousins. And he's up on the inside of Cousins over the bridge. You don't often see that. Have a look at Adam Burhoff get the elbows out. Up into P7 and see. It happens so easily. The floodgates open and Alan Dawson capitalises on it as well. Dawson goes into 8. Cousins shuffled back to 9. Wow, Dawson with a wild ride through the dirt on the exit of turn 9. Through 10 and 11, down to 12, and Burhoff up at a 7th with a little bit of breathing space. Next target, 4.7 up the road at Sam Muir.
Burhoff bringing all the drama tonight. He's been involved in incidents. He's had incredible overtakes. You name it, he's done it tonight, and it's great to have him with us for this round. So glad he's here.
It's an unforgettable return to the GSRC. No doubt about that. Whether it's for the right or wrong reasons, he's not going to forget this one in a hurry.
Certainly neither will Sam Chapman. He's currently running in the top 5, which would be a great result for him. We have seen him popping up and around the podium places every so often, but not able to do it on quite enough of a consistent basis to challenge the top 5 in the points. But this result would really solidify his position in the top 10, currently in 10th place. If he nails this one tonight, he will overtake a few people, build a bit of a gap to some of those behind, and that will really help in that quest. So he'll be hoping that he can keep it on the black stuff for the rest of the night and defend from Sam Muir behind him. Sam Muir, of course, one of the fastest drivers in this server. 4th in the standings, 303 points so far on the board.
Oh boy.
Oh,
no more trouble on the main straight. Jake Jackson and Greg Favell, I think. No, it's not Greg Favell, it's Anthony Visma. Anthony Visma in the wall. Now, what on earth has happened there? Jake Jackson's the other one involved at the top of your screen, but he's had to hold the brakes. He can't get out of that at the moment because there are so many cars still coming out of the final corner into the firing line, so to speak. Jackson has now been able to get onto pit road. Oh, my goodness me. And Nick Fodiatis was off the road as well. Oh, Jackson's got into a back marker. Jackson's got into a back marker and it's set off a chain reaction.
It certainly has.
I told you it'd be good, ladies and gentlemen. You haven't you haven't been disappointed with the quality of the content you've seen thus far tonight. Some of these drivers, however, will be disappointed.
Feel sorry for Visma there. He'll wonder if he could have gone further to the inside just to make sure he absolutely avoided that. He only just got tapped on the back wheel, but you saw where his car ended up. He ended up past the pit lane entry, so he's had to do a whole lap with a damaged car before he can get back and get into pit lane. And apologies if you lose me at any point. A wicked thunderstorm has just started here in Adelaide, so hopefully that doesn't cause any power issues.
How lucky was Sam Chapman? Just wedged his way through a closing gap. Visma's returned in 11th. Back to Snadden in 13th. Cars running into trouble left, right and centre at the moment. Biggest mover of the night so far. Oliver Patterson up 26 spots. Nick Wood up 12. So too Juzzy B. No one else has gained anywhere near as many as Oliver Patterson, up to 13th now. Yet to complete his second splash and dash, of course, so that'll bring him undone. Dane Snadden up 5 spots. Nick Wood up 12. Paul Wood up 8. Greg Muir up 7. Greg Favell up 1. Top 11 yet to stop at the moment. And off goes Sam Chapman. Oh, his luck's run out.
Oh, he's not going to thank me when he watches it back and realises that he's had the commentator's curse put on him.
And there goes the curse.
He'd just, of course, been promoted into the top 3 because of that incident that we saw.
Locked it up on the grass.
That's so easy to do. How many times have we seen that tonight? 4 or 5 at least?
Sorry, locked it up after lighting it up on the grass, if you'll pardon the expression. Take that one whichever way you like, ladies and gentlemen. Robertson is sitting there in 16th at the moment, under pressure from Jake Jackson. Jackson has pitted, so is Robertson. These guys are right to go to the flag. Knight, Burhop, Chapman, Visma, Snadden in right now. The top 6 yet to stop for Val, Muir, Cousins, Wood and Dawson. That's all ahead of Nick at the moment. Hard to keep up with all of it, isn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Plenty to pick apart here when we review the tape at the end of this race. Oh, goodness gracious me. Oran Park delivering the goods again. So just having a look at the lap times here. We're coming across the line now at the end of lap... well, we will be coming across the end of lap 16. Greg Favell yet to stop. So now that I've had a proper chance to have a look at the mathematics of it, you're probably looking at somewhere in the vicinity of 22 laps. 21, 22. No more than that. Because you're looking at about a minute 7 per lap at the moment. So 6 minutes to go at the end of this minute. I'm not sure. Just depends when they get back to the line in that, because obviously there's that minute 7 buffer to play with, so they can get back to the line anywhere between, you know, about 2 and 1 second to go and get a white flag. So there is still a chance that we'll get to 22. We should get to 22. Wood's on lap 17 at the moment. Jared Knight is out there also on lap 17, so keep an eye on that. My best guess is there'll be 5 to go at the line. So that'll get us to 22. Greg Padgett, great to see so many entries in round 9. Not that many people dropped off this season. Oran Park maybe a tad small for this amount of traffic. That's a very good point, mate. Hey, all the best to Greg as well, because he's been back in hospital. He was very open and candid about it on social media the other night, saying that he's had the issue ongoing, recurring for the last decade. So we wish Greg all the very best and hope to see him back on track very soon, but glad that he's enjoying the broadcast at this point in time. Good on you, mate. 19.50 gone, 5.10 to go. Jared Knight, the fastest lap of the race, 107.893. There's Jake Jackson in 15th, and still plenty of action, plenty of battles playing out for position right here, Liam Banks, with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, the track, nobody can get away from each other, can they? Just because it's so tight, and we've just seen action left, right and centre. You wouldn't want to put any money on how this is going to end. We've seen so many of the front runners, not just the back markers, the front runners spinning out of this race, either by themselves or getting involved in incidents, getting involved in back markers. We pointed out earlier on, they looked like they were going to catch the back of the field. that seems to have resolved itself a little bit just looking at the track map. Just to cover a story from earlier, Sam Chapman has rejoined in 9th place, and he has pitted, so that's genuine 9th place, and he's just in the train just like everybody else. So he lost quite a few positions, but at least was able to continue after that incident. Sam Muir, he's in 4th place. He's the biggest challenger to Jared Knight at the moment, who is within the top 10. So yeah, and the other challenger who we saw leave earlier on in the race, and I can't find him on my timing screens. Good amount of is in 10th place.
Young Oliver Patterson as well, Liam, has rejoined after his second splash and dash after starting from pit lane. Of course, his pit stop there on lap 17 in 19th place, up 21 spots on where he started, and it pays to keep your nose clean in this game. There he is with the Hot Wheels livery. Looking good. Jared Knight back to the lead.
So
Nick Wood comes to pit lane.
Nick Wood's up in there, so then we are Clinton's.
We are indeed. And Jared Knight's on his way home. 3.5 minutes to play. Whoa, more trouble. Josh Robertson at the final corner. Oh, bang. Chain reaction. And Josh Robertson's night is done.
Yeah, but at least you get to watch it, Greg. It's not as good as racing, but it's at least it's something good that you couldn't be there. And wishing you all the best and hoping that you do get better soon. I echo Zach's comments from earlier.
I'm not going to lie. I actually prefer watching races there at Bathurst because it just looks like a frustrating night at the office if you meet concrete or you get it wrong or you get involved in an incident that's not your fault or anything like that. So I would say, obviously I understand the frustration as a driver because you get itchy feet. And Greg's had plenty of opportunity to get itchy feet over the last 6 months or so. But it's one of those things. It's a great spectacle, and it's probably far less frustrating a spectacle from this side of the fence. 2:22 left on the clock. Jared Knight will have 2 laps to go at the line. We'll get to 22 laps, and we'll be on our way home. Yes, Paul Wood up into the top 5, up 10 spots. Nick Wood up 12 into 8th. Joe Baldwin up 11 into 12th spot. He'll be just happy to see the checkered flag will be trucker after the run he's out of the way. And Oliver Patterson up 22 spots with the fastest lap of the race as well. Young Oliver, 1:07.864.
Yeah, unfortunately the race control lap's not working for me, so I can't do the fast laps on the screen like I've been doing the last few weeks.
Copy that. That's okay. We'll keep an eye out for the purple box. At some point in time, I'll have to show everybody at home just how snazzy a new timing setup we've got here, an upgraded, updated timing setup we've got here as well, Adam Lavis, because it is top shelf. Plenty of information coming in to us here in Central Commentary, including now, all importantly, manufacturer breakdown as well. So no longer trying to read small little icons on Adam's on-screen graphics there. We are good to give you that information from the comfort of our timing screen. And there it is on your screen there, the link from Adam Lavis for anyone who might like to actually follow along at home with live timing. Nat soft style, of course. Whoa, Oliver Patterson looking for 17th here at the moment with Anthony Visma as well. Oh, how good's the youthful exuberance of Patterson all over the back. Oh boy. Jordan Malcolm, a case of what might have been sitting there in 6th place all over the back of Sam Chapman. We've got a lap and a half to go at Oran Park. White flag out next time by. As long as old mate Barney's actually waving the flag this week and in a visible position. Off the circuit goes Clint Collard. Patterson moves up to 23 positions gained into 17th. Here comes Jared Knight. White flag at the line, 1 to go. And what a performance this has been in the Merc.
Stole the words out of my mouth. He's been absolutely sublime.
Just a superb performance.
Greg Favel's been very good in second as well. Of course, inherited second through a spin from the car ahead of him. But he was right there applying the pressure, and he's not put a foot wrong all race. And Samuel has also been fantastic, looking to bring home 3rd place, but he has got Adam Burhop, who we know is absolutely rapid around here, bearing down on him to try and take that position on the final lap.
Joe Baldwin getting the big hurry up there from Jake Jackson. Final lap at Oran Park. Greg Favel, nice debut into 2nd spot. Sam Muir and Adam Burhop, good recovery from Burhop given how it started. Jackson trying to get down on the inside, but Baldwin closed the door because he was trying to avoid some lap traffic there, and now he's under pressure. He's under some sort of an assault from Jackson to the outside at 3. Can he get the switch back? Maybe. We'll get back to that battle in a moment. But take a bow. Jared Knight, get your hands out and smash them together, ladies and gentlemen. Checkered flag at Oran Park. Not that they're going to see it with that billboard in the way. Or the traffic lights, I think it is actually. Jared Knight gets the job done. Another win in Waste Options GT4 and a championship defining one at that. Very nicely done. Second to Greg Favell, third to Sam Muir, fourth to Adam Burhoff, then Paul Wood. Trucker and Jackson still at each other's heels here. Down to the final corner. This is for 11th. Jackson to the dirt and throws himself out. Loses 2 spots. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Sacrificial lamb. Paul Wood 5th, then Gary Cousins, Dale Sharp, Sam Chapman, Jordan Malcolm, and Alan Dawson. Joe Baldwin 11th. Russ Green, Dane Snadden, Jake Jackson, Anthony Vismer, and Oliver Patterson up 24 spots. Then Nick Wood, Clint Collard. So Wood's come unstuck on the last lap, dropped 5 spots. Josh Millard and Wayne Edwards made up the top 20. Then we go back to those that were down a lap. Juzzy B, Craig Tabetti, Phil King, Adam Johnson. Nick Fodiatis got home. Actually, I don't think he did. He's in the pit lane, I think. Or he's had a network dropout or something, but he's not showing. He's not showing across the line. Unless he's come across... Actually, he might have come across 2 laps down. That might be the issue. We'll follow that up. That's the only thing that this app doesn't... This updated timing app doesn't do that the previous one did, is show the checkered flag indicator across the finishing positions. But that's another story. Brendan Soper comes through 26th, then Mark Franklin. Then the list of retirements. Robertson, McIntyre, Zamora, Craig, Simpson, Hanna. Jeffries, Christensen, Brooks, Hutchinson and McGrath. And Bullock, Schultz, Carey and Visa were the non-starters. Best placed, Mercedes 1, 3 and 4. Aston Martin in second. Porsche's 5, 6, 8, 9. Another Merc in 10. And, of course, the Bimmer of Dale Sharp in 7th. The only Bimmer in the 10. Sharpie's doing well. The best place to the McLarens? Oh boy, Mark Franklin down in 27th position. So, pretty rough night at the office for the McLarens. Everybody else had a good taste of the pie at the top end of the tree. Dale Sharp joining us for a chat in just a moment. Excuse me. The drama, of course, in this race, as you watch the replay and the highlights here, ladies and gentlemen, started all the way back on lap 1. They were 3 and 4 wide off the line, running down towards the first corner, and it very nearly ended up catastrophic because of this moment for Adam Burhoff. Watch this. Watch him sliding through drift school style. My goodness, how lucky he was that didn't end up so much worse for him and so many others behind him. He sacrificed himself, went out to the far side of the circuit. I don't know how close he was to the tail of Jared Knight. I probably don't want to know. My goodness gracious me. Watch it again. Drift school. 101. No, look at that. That was probably the save of Jared Knight's season. Because if Burhoff had gone maybe a millimetre or 2 further, Knight was going with him out into the weeds, out into the rough stuff. So he's joining us for a chat here in just a moment. It's the 3-2-2. But first up, let's get to Dale Sharp. Hey, Sharpie, once again, best place to the Bimmers, mate. Held your own tonight, moved up from... Well, actually, you started in one allegedly lucky number and ended in another from 13th up to 7th, mate. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Another top 10. I mean, there was a lot going on out there, and I had a little bit of luck and got through a few things and popped out in 7th.
It looked like a hectic night. I mean, Oran Park was always going to bring in a few cameo appearances and a few personnel that we hadn't seen in a while, and we'll get again to Adam Burhoff in just a moment. But before any of that, it's a tight little tricky circuit. There's very limited overtaking opportunities. So when 40 line up on the grid, you guys were going to have to be on your toes tonight.
Oh, definitely. Like it's a far more technical track than it appears, and I'd put turn 1 and 2 here as one of the most technical sections on the platform, you know, and I was pretty sure that was going to claim a few. I look forward to looking back at the broadcast to see whether there was any championship implications in the sand trap there, but But yeah, it was definitely elbows up and you know, make it wide when you needed to, and you know, luckily we kept all the panels and all the wheels on it and kept it in the top 10.
Well, there were championship implications, but they were in walls, not gravel traps. And Adam Lavis will have some updated standings for us in just a moment. And what was also important to note there is one of our championship contenders we didn't mention all night. He wasn't on the grid, of course, Michael Hammond. And I did see that Hammond...
I actually got halfway through the race and realised he hadn't run into me this week. And I thought, wonder what it is.
I was going to say... I noticed that he was in Melbourne over the weekend checking out some footy at the MCG. So maybe if he was flying with Jetstar, he might still be waiting for the plane to arrive to the airport to take him home. I'm not sure. We'll find out. Yes. Thanks, Greg Padgett, and giving Phil King and Wayne Edwards a shout out there. Hey, Sharpie, from one Aussie favourite to another, Sandown next week, mate, to finish things off, and we up it to 45 minutes. What are your thoughts?
I reckon my Beamer might like those drag straights, so I'm a bit excited about that one.
I was going to say, your Bimmer, I reckon, is probably one of the better suited cars to that racetrack. We associate the Bimmer, it doesn't matter whether it's the GT4 or GT3 equivalent, with straight lines top end. So we're looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table there next week, mate. And if you can finish the season off with another top 10 finish, I'm sure you'd be delighted. Looking forward to that one. The Bimmer does suffer with a bit of tyre wear in the longer races, but yeah, if I can tuck in behind one of the quick guys and stay in the draft, and that's always a hope, you know, sort of be able to get myself there somewhere at the end. What's next for you, please?
My Thursday nights have cleared up, so you'll probably see me in the production cars again, and the Porsches Wednesday night 50-50. We'll have to see how we go on that one.
Very nicely done. Mate, thank you for that. We've got a few other guys to get to, and we've got 20 minutes to do it before the GT3 cars are lining up on the grid at Mount Panorama. So I appreciate you stopping by. Well done again, and looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table for the final week of the term next week.
No worries. Love your work, Zach.
Thanks, mate. There he is, Dale Sharp. Okay, Adam Bunny Burhop. Nice to have you back. I tell you what.
Thanks, lads.
Fourth place. It looks good, but it was far from perfect. That was a chaotic 25 minutes for you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I just didn't account for the cold tyres going into turn 1 and turn 2, and lucky kind of just saved it, kind of not really. But yeah, accidentally tapped Jared. Lucky I didn't spin in, because then I would have been the bad boy for sure.
Well, I was going to say we couldn't tell how much air was between you and Jared. We thought that he might have got a touch. We thought that you might have rubbed panels and weren't separated by any more than a coat of varnish. It was a very hairy moment, and it could have been championship defining.
Yeah, that's it. I didn't want to step in and be a wrecking ball for the championship. Definitely didn't want to do that. But yeah, sorry, Jared, for that one. But yeah, luckily it turned out okay for him.
It certainly has. He's had a great night at the office, and we will get to him in just a moment. But, mate, obviously the question has to be asked. Where have you been? What's been going on?
Fortunately, I've done myself a bit of a mischief. So back into last year, I did the ACL in the left knee, so the good old breaking knee, and then ended up stuffing up my back, which put me on my ass for literally 3 weeks. So a couple of hospital visits and recovery chair and all that good stuff lately. I haven't been able to do much, so unfortunately that's why I've been missing.
Well, it's no good that you've done a mischief on yourself, but at least you're on the road to recovery, and at least you've been able to get back in the rig tonight, mate, and hopefully it's the start of things to come, and this will just whet the appetite for a full tilt at next term when we get underway in early July.
100% looking forward to the new season, and looking forward to being able to be here weekly and compete for a championship or two.
Have you been keeping an eye on what's been going on whilst you've been MIA?
Yeah, unfortunately there's only so much YouTube and Netflix you can watch, so any more entertainment is muchly appreciated. So yeah, I've been keeping an eye on things, and the racing's been fantastic this season.
All right, very nicely done. And obviously you'd be looking forward to sinking your teeth into some of the new content that's dropped.
Yeah, 100%. Already taken a couple for the test drive. I hope the committee put them into some maybe more multi-class racing this season, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see what they put together.
All right, very nicely done. And Oran Park, chaotic at the best of times. Obviously, you're a little bit out of practice, but you've still got plenty of great pace there, mate. Had it not been for a couple of little slip-ups there, you might have been able to go with Rd-9 and fight him for the race win. But in saying that, given everything you've just explained, fourth is a pretty good run, especially considering that you fell back to as far as I think it was 12th or 13th. So to fight back through in that logjam was not a bad effort at all.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was lucky enough that some people fell off in front of me, which is good, but and the back markers caused a bit of a hiccup for some people. But you got to just take the opportunities, no matter how small, when you can there. So it was a couple of rubber panels moving past, but I think one's about to come up very soon. But yeah, it was a great track and always good action.
All right, very nicely done. Great to catch up with you, mate. The car looked mint, and a nice tip of the hat to the good people at Goodyear there. I'm looking forward to seeing you on a more regular basis now that you're on the road to recovery. Thanks for that.
Yeah, cheers, lads. Looking forward to it, and I'll touch base throughout the season.
Indeed, he will. There he is, Adam Burhop. Great to have him back. Throwing the cat amongst the pigeons, but proving that he's still got it. He hasn't lost anything, but again, also mindful of noting that even the all-star class performers like him occasionally come back a little bit rusty, as he's proven there with that cold tyre moment at turn 1, and there were a couple of other moments along the way, but somehow he got back inside the top 5, so that was very well done. Speaking of the top 5, Paul Wood, good evening to you. 15th up to 5, mate. Very nicely done.
Yeah, not too bad. The Bailey ladders Porsche served me well again this week and getting more and more comfortable each week, so the legs are starting to get underneath me, which is good. But overall, that was a very sweaty, very tough race. But you were on edge from the beginning right to the end. You couldn't afford to make one little mistake or it cost you big time. But fun race in the end. I really enjoyed that one. I thought it was going to be chaos.
Absolutely. It absolutely looked like chaos. But then again, 40 cars and a 2.6 kilometre racetrack, was it going to be anything but?
That is very true, but I think it would have made for good viewing on the broadcast at least, because it would have been battles everywhere, because you got past one person and the next minute there was another person to fight, which is always what you want to see. It just means it's good battles. You're not just driving by yourself, just doing laps for the sake of laps, but no, good fun. And yeah, really enjoyed that one more than I thought I was going to enjoy it. As you know, Oran Park is not one of my favourite tracks, but always happy to have a good outing there.
You've had some history here, there's no doubt about that. In saying that though, must have been nice to be able to keep the nose clean and be involved in a couple of really hot battles as well.
Yeah, it was very hard. Like the Porsche again handled really well through the corners, but I could get sort of out of the corner, but there's just not enough legs on it to really make a move, and it's very hardy because even all the straights, they're very short. So the move has to be set up, like with a couple of them, you're like 2 or 3 laps beforehand, and then you make one little mistake and you've got to start again. Then you reset the lap count before you can set the maneuver up. And had a couple of times I tried some and they come off not real good. I think I hit the pit wall once just trying to get a little bit too much speed down the main straight, but overall it was pretty good. The car stayed pretty well straight, and like I said, it was reasonably competitive, better than I thought. I honestly don't know how I made it to 5th, but again, I just got out, did the laps, tried to stay consistent, and yeah, brought it home safe and sound in the end, so I'm quite happy with that.
All right, very nicely done. And again, very similar to Adam Burhop. We didn't see you at the start of the season. You've kind of waltzed in and eased back into it, I should say. Things are starting to warm up very nicely for you. You must be looking forward to having a proper crack next term.
I am, yes. I've done a GPU upgrade as well, so I got a new video card coming, hopefully new VR, so it'll either make me a hell of a lot worse or it might help me a little bit, so we'll see. So hopefully prepared for a bit more full-on season next one. I'm getting more comfortable and that sort of stuff, so yeah, hopefully a few more races. At the moment I'm still just doing the one a week, but yeah, I'm getting the fighting spirit back and getting more comfortable, so yeah, looking forward to getting into a little bit more.
And thoughts on Sandown?
Again, it's going to be hectic. I think it could be a fun race again. And I think overall, from what I saw, everyone was giving each other a bit of room and a bit of respect. If we can do that, I think it's going to be a really good race, especially with a large grid. Again, it'll be good for the broadcast. But how well the Porsche is going to go, we'll wait and see, because it's basically 2 straights and a couple of corners, and that's pretty much a lap. So I'm keen to see how I go. If I can get another good result, I'll be happy. It'll make me a lot happier coming in the next season, and hope that I'm getting back up to pace. So we'll see how we go. Should be fun.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. Thank you for that. Good to catch up as per usual. Go well for the rest of the night.
You too, guys. Thanks.
There he is, Paul Wood. Joe Baldwin's here. Jared Knight's here as well. I'll come to you in a moment, Joe. Jared, well done. Another race win, a championship-defining one. How lucky were you at turn 2, though?
Yeah, it was a bit sketchy seeing the wild burr hop coming hot in the rear vision mirror there, but yeah, thankfully the contact wasn't too bad, and yeah, sort of just sailed on from there.
That being said, Burr Hop's moment did give you even though you were very nearly caught up in it inadvertently, it did give you a little bit of breathing space right from the outset, and you were able to use that and carry on with it. And then obviously Jordan Malcolm's found the wall at turn 12, and all of a sudden this championship is looking very nice for you. You're going to have a little bit of breathing space going into the final round at Sandown.
Yeah, it was just about managing that gap. The Merc was actually surprisingly good around this track. I thought it might struggle a little bit given all the slow exits and whatnot. But yeah, looking forward to next weekend. Next Monday. Yeah, Sandown probably a bit similar to this. So yeah, should be another good race. Hopefully another 40 cars on the grid. That was wild.
Well, I was going to say, mate, just before we go any further, obviously one of the pitfalls of Oran Park is the tight nature of the circuit. Throw in the fact that so many cars or so many drivers ran into some trouble tonight. The attrition rate wasn't as high as we might have expected. So that meant that, unlike other occasions where you don't encounter as much lap traffic, you would have had your fair share of it tonight, I imagine.
Yeah, it seemed to be dodging the rejoins for a good portion of that race. It was just a consistent yellow flag every lap, and yeah, just got to be mindful and watch the relative, and try and catch the car when it's coming back on. But yeah, all the guys were really respectful and let us through relatively unscathed. So yeah, hats off to them.
Sandown's just a little bit longer and just a little bit wider, a little bit more open as well, thanks to the 2 long straights there. Andrew, don't go anywhere, mate. We've still got another one to come if you want to stay up a little bit later. We've got GT3 coming up from Mount Panorama very shortly on this broadcast, so it's only about 8 minutes away. I'm acknowledging your comments, so if you want to stick around, please do. Whilst we do count down to the start at Bathurst, I've got to wrap this up very shortly, boys, but 90. Sandown, like Dale was saying about the Beamer as well, I reckon the Merc will enjoy that straight line leverage down the long straights at Sandown.
Yeah, it's just getting through the 2-3 complex and coming down to Dandenong Road. As long as we keep it straight through there, it's it should be able to stretch the legs up and down the straights, and it should be quite difficult to overtake if we can get in front. So I guess that's the plan, a bit like today.
All right, very nicely done, mate. Is this championship yours, or is there still a sting in the tail next week? What are your thoughts? Are you nervous?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. But yeah, no, it's unlucky that Jordan's had some, I guess, just costly errors over the last couple of rounds, because it's been an extremely tight championship this season, and just some unlucky moments from him, and sort of walking away with it. But it's not over until it's over.
All right, very nicely done. Let's have a look at the updated championship points there. 60 points the breathing space now, 90. It's starting to look very nice. And a little bit of a buffer to play with regards to drop rounds as well. Should something awry happen next week, Sam Muir is up into second spot from fourth over to second, displacing both Jordan Malcolm, Michael Hammond. Hammond's, of course, dropped down too by virtue of the fact that he wasn't on starter tonight. That was the talking point. It's 97 points covering first and fifth. That's ballooned out to almost double of what it was coming into the round. At 349 for Jordan Malcolm. So second on the line next week, Jordan Malcolm, Sam Muir, keep an eye on that. Nick Wood, not too far away, 321. And Michael Hammond will be fighting with him for those last two spots in the top five there on 314 points. Alan Dawson, Dale Sharp, then Nick Fodiatis, Jake Jackson, and Sam Chapman. That was a costly round for Chapman. Actually, no, it wasn't. No, my apologies. It was a costly round. Someone else down in that end of the tree actually dropped a couple of spots. So my apologies. Chapo was actually in 10th coming into the round. Nick Fodiatis, thank you. You're right. Where did he drop to? 2 spots, yeah, down to 8th place, yeah. 233 for Dale Sharp, 236 for Alan Dawson. So all those positions in the bottom half of the 10 very much up for grabs next week. And Chapo has a little bit of breathing space on Gary Cousins, who actually improved tonight up into the position there just behind Chapman. So, well done, Jared Knight. Thank you for that. Good luck next week. And hopefully we'll be talking to you as a series champion.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. Always good to chat.
Actually, before we talk to Trucker Joe, I should give everybody a heads up. Due to short staff problems and issues, skeletal issues at West Bromwich Radio, I can't answer that, Andrew, because I'm not sure if there was live internal race control or whether it's going to be reviewed after the fact. So I can't answer that question for you at the moment.
Yeah, it wasn't live race control in the G4s, but there is for both splits of GT3s tonight.
Copy that. So we will have a look at the tape for GT4 if anyone wants to lodge a protest. Yeah, before we get the trucker, and we're doing that momentarily, we will start to switch servers now as well, because we've got Bathurst coming up in about 5 minutes. But before any of that, yeah, I should give everybody a heads up. As much as I love my Monday Night Motorsport, we've got some skeletal problems at West Bromwich at the moment, meaning I need to be out of office next Monday night doing an outside broadcast for West Bromwich. I'm coming straight from that back to here, but I won't be here in time for the start of GT4, so you'll be with Adam and Liam first up next Monday night, but I will be here with the boys for the 90-minute GT3 finale. I'm just not sure how I invoiced that, because it's only a half a broadcast. Well, it's 2/3 of broadcast, but anyway, we'll work out on that in a couple of weeks' time. Joe, welcome into you, mate. Good little solid run for the Aston from 23rd up to 11th, mate. Well done.
Yeah, thank you, Zach. This is a track. I love this place. I sort of tend to go pretty well here. I was disappointed in qualifying, just with so many cars on the track. By the time you get up to speed and get your tyres warmed up, you're either in someone's way or someone's getting in your way. So it made it hard to qualify. I got in a little bit late, but the run in the race, I feel sorry for Nick. He got caught up in a couple of incidents, Nick Fodiatis, and he sort of got by me. I'm not in the championship hunt, so it sort of didn't make it difficult for him. And then, unfortunately, got tangled with a back marker about 4 corners later. So commiserations to Nick. That was a bit unfortunate, but it's a lot better result than race 2 in the Porsche the other day. That's for sure.
Well, this is exactly right, 100%. In saying all of that, though, mate, you had a good little fight there at the end, managed to avoid the carnage and stay out of trouble. It's nice that you've actually been able to have a clean run for a change.
Yeah, I did. If it hadn't been for that where Nick got caught up, I would have had a 0 incident race. That was the only incident that I had. So I just swiped his nose on the way through. So it's one of those tracks. I've done a lot of laps here. I enjoy the place. I can remember watching racing here as a kid. So I've always enjoyed racing here and done a fair bit of it. It's just one of the tracks I enjoy. So probably not far behind Bathurst, if I'm honest, but it's good to have a good run in the car. I've had a rough season this season. I sort of haven't had pace in this car, so to go somewhere and actually have a little bit of pace, I've probably finished where I should have roughly qualified if I had got a clean lap. So I'm certainly happy with that. And unfortunately for Jake, I probably should have covered him a little bit earlier on the last corner, and it was probably a bit late to cover, which made him pinch a brake, and he lost another couple of spots. So yeah, sorry to Jake for that, but it was good racing with him. Even he said the same to me p.m. So, definitely a great night at the office. So, good luck to the guys in the GT3 that's following this.
All right, very nicely done. And on the subject of Thursday night, are you going to persevere with it one more week or two?
On Thursday night, I'll give it another crack if I'm home. So, I just enjoy driving, racing. It doesn't... racing for wins or racing for 15th doesn't really matter, so long as you're in there and enjoying yourself. And tip of the hat too to Johnny Simpson. He hasn't done a lot of racing lately, but my God, he made it hard early in the race. And unfortunately, I think the lack of seat time caught him when he actually went to pit. He made a couple of errors in the pits, which cost him, which was unfortunate. But early on in the race, John was, we had a good race early, so yeah.
Very nicely done. Just having a look at some names on the list here coming in from Mount Panorama. I can tell you that there's a field of 31 lining up for GT3 AM tonight. So we're blessed with big numbers here on a Monday night, penultimate one of the season, on the platforms of the GSRC. Public holiday for most of the progressive and civilised parts of the country and the Northern Territory as well. So very good to see that everybody's got back from the long weekend in time to enjoy some motorsport with us. Trucker, what are your initial thoughts on Sandown next week, mate? Because all the evidence points towards another bumper field.
Sandown's a fantastic track in the GT4s. I think we ran there, I don't know whether it was last season or the season before, and I think we had like 48 cars or something there, if memory serves me right. We had a huge field and it was great racing, so it's certainly a track that favours the brave with the big braking areas, so it should put on a good show. The Aston's got a fairly reasonable amount of horsepower, so I might be in with a show of a top 20 if we get the big numbers, which I'll be happy with.
All right, mate. Yeah, exactly. The numbers in GT4 this season have been nothing short of superb. Trucker, thank you. Appreciate that, and we'll catch up at the same time, same place next week.
Thank you, guys.
Maybe even Thursday night as well with Grant Gill. We've got a lot to be excited about here on the platform of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, because we've got GT3 AM coming up right now as we launch into the second part of our Monday night doubleheader. And of course, it's a 60-minute race from here on the best 6.213 kilometres of motor racing real estate and bitumen anywhere in the world. Followed by a 90-minute slog around the Red Bull Ring in Austria this time next Monday night. Although, because of the fact that we do have a GT4 race running 45 minutes instead of the usual 25, I believe the start time for this one has been bumped back to 8:45. Correct me if I'm wrong, Adam Lavis? Yep, 7:30 and 8:45, so there we go. We can, and club members have, Andrew, but no, I don't intend to be sitting here and commentating a virtual race for 12 hours. That is for certain. Liam Banks might, however. Good evening to you once more, mate. Cracking point of the GT3 AM season, and looking forward to seeing what they dish up over the next hour.
Absolutely. I mean,
whoa!
Look at what we've seen in the last 10 seconds in qualifying. Matt Smitke upside down at one point there, and hopefully that doesn't occur to him in the race, because he's in a very tight battle for second place in the championship. You've got Reece Dickinson in first place. He's got a comfortable lead, 55 points, but then behind him, Chuk Fung Wong is on 298, Adam Chiplin's on 276, Matt Smitke's on 274, William Yarwood's on 268, and Adam Lee Holland is on 264. So not much to choose between from second down to 7th place. So it's going to be really, really tight, and the likes of Smitke are going to need a good race here. Keep it clean if they want to really solidify a spot in the top 3 in this championship.
All right, very nicely done. Hey, let's have a look at the championship standings as we venture into this round for GT3 AM. And this is as the checkered flag flies, so we won't be too far off having cars line up on the grid. Tantalising prospect in the pro split as well, ladies and gentlemen, but we'll get to those guys a little bit later on. Reece Dickinson on top here. The margin is 55 points back to Chuk Fung Wong, who's got 22 up his sleeve over Adam Chiplin. That's where the battle lies, though. 14 points covering 3rd through 6th. 12 points actually covering 3rd through 6th. Look at me go. 2 and 8 and 4. 12. So, it is Chiplin, Schmidtke, Yarwood and Holland 276, 274, 268, 264. Tim Fuge on 242 has Brian Bullock for company on 238 and Ben Woods on 230. David Christensen on 224 and Sean Rees on 223. So a lot of positions still very much on the line, very much in the air in the top 11 at the moment in this championship. But Reece Dickerson, despite a DNF in the second race last week at the Nürburgring, sits there as a clear and comfortable leader at the moment. Not saying that he gets the job done tonight and ticks the box and wins the championship here. This will go down to next week at the Red Bull Ring, but it's going to be exciting every step of the way. This is Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. With thanks to Waste Options, of course, the naming rights sponsor of Monday Night Motorsport. With thanks also to the great people at Blackout Electrical Solutions, Login Systems, West Orange Motors, Astute in terms of finance, insurance and wealth in East Brisbane, Fisher and Door Lawyers, and Flash Graphics. And this is the famed Mount Panorama, the Mecca, the Holy Grail, the spiritual home of Australian motorsport, the hallowed turf, the sacred ground. Paint it any way you like. It's just special, this place. 23 turns, 6.213 kilometres. You know it by the names of the famous corners. We know it for top shelf motor racing, be it with production cars at Easter, with taxis in October, or with sports cars in February. Liam Banks is here, and of course now we've got TCR and the like running there in November as well. It's hugely exciting. Liam Banks is here alongside yours truly. So too is Adam Lavis. The server time has just ticked over to 2:30 in the afternoon. So sunset's not going to be an issue this afternoon. This will be running the daylight to just past 4:30 local. 21 degrees. They're having a tremendous pull of it if they think Bathurst is capable of reaching 21 degrees, let alone 15 or anything above in June, but that's okay. 23 the track temp at the moment. Winds 22 kilometres an hour. And yes, thank you to Adam Lavis for clearing up that one as well. We are ready to rock and roll here. 65% humidity, 22 kilometre an hour winds. And the altitude there is well worth noting. 709 metres around Mount Panorama from top to bottom. Let's have a look at the grid here. It's Greg Favell and Anthony Visma. 2 Ring Institute cameo appearances. Have a look at that. On the front row, Chuk Lung Wong and Josh Zuno. The second row, Tyson Hamner. Or Hanmer rather, and Reece Dickerson the third row, Adam Chiplin, Tim Hughes the fourth, and David Christensen and Matt Brunt the fifth. What's interesting there, Liam Banks, is you've got 4 Ferraris and 6 BMWs. No looking for any other manufacturer in that top 10. Matt Schmidtke from 11th and Stephen Brooks, the first of any other manufacturers. The first of the Porsches and Audis, 11th and 12th. The first of the Mercs in 38 through Luke Mackay. Then 2 more BMWs and Dane Snadden and Brian Bullock, the Ferrari of Adam Lee Holland. Then the BMW of William Yarwood, far further down the order than he'd like to be, considering or given his position in the championship at the moment. The Porsche of Ben Woods, the Audi of Robert McGrath, then 2 Ferraris, Aidan Schultz and James Francone, take us back to 21st. The Audi of Mitch McIntyre, then Neil Gladwin in the Porsche, Adam Tyson the Merc, the Audi of Tim Watson, the Merc of Adam Johnson, and all BMW 14th row with Nigel Seidel and Eduardo Zamora. Then Ferraris, Brett Campbell, Clint Collard and Scott Craig make up a 31-car field for this penultimate round, round 9. It's night 1 of week 9 of term 2 on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club across Facebook, Twitch and YouTube. Round 9, race 13 of the campaign in Waste Options GT3 AM. Thoughts on this one, Liam, quickly before we get going?
That should be an absolute cracker. Just want to pick up on something that was mentioned in the chat about having a endurance GT3 race around Bathurst soon. We have one, not this Sunday, but the Sunday after is 8 hours of Bathurst as part of the GSRC endurance season. Please do get involved. Even if you haven't been involved in the rest of the season, come out, make it a bumper field, and let's sign off the first endurance season of the year with a bang around Bathurst.
A good solid plug from you. I've taught you well. I like it. Ready to rock and roll. Monday Night Motorsport from the entree to the main course, from Oran Park to Bathurst, from GT4 to GT3. Made possible with thanks to Waste Options. For the final time this season, we're broadcasting the AM split. Let's go. Let's get to work. And a very nice looking BMW there with Greg Favell is driving tonight. He's behind the wheel of that one. He takes the lead going into the first corner, and Anthony Visma slots in behind. Yellow leads blue up the hill. mountain straight towards Griffin's Bend. We've had a safe start at Mount Panorama. We've had Neil Gladwin start from pit lane. Clint Collard not start at all. We're ready to rock and roll for an hour around here, and it will be at full tilt.
Certainly, well, look at that already. Greg Val going so wide, he's going over the curb on the outside. You don't want to get much wider than that, otherwise you will end up in the wall there. To get on the brakes here, tuck it in. You need to get in nice to the inside there because it pulls you around that corner. It's hard to describe until you've actually done it, just how much it helps you get around there. And that's why you see cars that are only a little bit wide and they end up in the barrier. Coming across the top of the hill in the GT3s is incredibly difficult, very easy to lose a back end. Coming up the top here as you crest this corner, got to take off the right amount of speed, but not too much because you don't want to go slow. It's too crucial for you to lose too much speed, but if you carry too much speed, you will crash, and that's something we're going to see as the tyres wear out a bit later on in the stint. And then you're coming down the hill. It's an absolute roller coaster. Just basically pray and hold on for dear life and hope you don't end up in the barrier, just like Tyson Hanma has in the background.
So trouble already.
From there, you get through to the elbow here. Here, you need to get this absolutely right because you're onto this incredibly long straight, one of the places in motorsport, the elbow, and then you fly down this hill, go up it. At the end of the hill, as you approach the flat out right-hander, it is sketchy in one of these cars. If you have all the wing off, it is going to be very easy to unsettle the car and end up spinning into the grass. You will have seen it anytime you see racing at Bathurst.
Look at Schmidt down! Schmidtke was right on the outside there trying to get by. I think it might have been either Stephen Brooks or Dane Snowden, and he's come unstuck. Schmidtke in the grass at the exit of the chase at turn 21, and Schmidtke is right down the back of the field now in 27th position, joined by Neil Gladwin, who started from pit lane, joined by Scott Craig, and also we've got Tyson Hamner already, or Hammer, right out of the contest, right out of proceedings, out of business already on the opening lap. So we've had a chaotic start at the Mount Panorama circuit. Did we expect anything less? 2:03.945 for Greg Favell, the fastest lap of the race thus far. Already skipping clear of Anthony Visma. Chukfang Wong, Josh Zuno, Reese Dickerson, Adam Chiplin, Matty Brunt, Tim Fuge, David Christensen. So BMWs and Ferraris dominate the top 9. Stephen Brooks is 10th, the first to the Audis. Then Dane Snowden, Luke Mackay, Adam Holland, Brian Bullock and Ben Woods make up the top 15.
Looking forward to getting another view of that incident. Definitely was helped round, but didn't get clear enough for you to know who was in the wrong, who might have moved in the braking zone, or whether it was just a bit of bad luck. We'll have to wait and see. Matt Smitke, we mentioned him at the top of the broadcast. He's one of those involved in that really tight battle for second and third place. He's currently in 4th, and he's going to do well to hold on to that battle in this race. Thankfully, it's a long race. It's a 1 hour race, so he's got time and a bit of pit strategy to help him get back up for the field.
So through they come onto Conrod Straight for the second time. Remembering that we'll have most likely 2 stops here around the course of, or throughout the course of the hour. We'll be on a trajectory for 29 laps, all being fair and equal. Maybe 28. 28 gets you to 56 and actually 57 at about 4 or 5 seconds. Throw in 2 pit stops, we should get to 29. That is my early guess tonight as they make their way through the chase for the second time. How good do the camera angles look that Adam Lavis has set up around there? Anthony Visma with a 2:03.350 takes the fastest lap of the race for this point in time. Greg Favell, the leader. Then Visma. Then Chukfang Wong, Zuno, Dickerson, Chiplin and Brunt. And irrespective of what anyone says, Greg Favell wins car livery of the night for mine. That's got Cessnock yellow and black written all over it, or Richmond yellow and black, whatever floats your boat. For me, Cessnock Goanna colours in Tools Cup Newcastle Rugby League. Black and gold, and there's plenty of gold in that livery tonight, which is really good to see.
So you think of that when you think of black and gold. I think about Wolverhampton Wanderers back in the old golden pack. So that'll be your Premier League team, Zach, if you don't already have one.
Well, actually, I won't talk about Man United at the moment, considering they lost the FA Cup last week, but that's another story. Through they come once more, and you can thank, I think it was Dwight York for the fact that I became a Man United fan, because when I first picked up a FIFA game, Oh, trouble. There's a little bit of smoke in the background there as someone clipped the wall on the way through at the grade. I'm not sure. No, it's interesting because Greg Paget having a laugh at the nickname of the Cessnock Rugby League Football Club, but that's okay. For mine, when I first started playing FIFA, I'm pretty sure I just went with Man United. I don't know why, and it kind of just stuck. So never started actually watching the Premier League until much later in my life. And then, of course, it disappeared off Foxtel, so I haven't watched it at all for the last, 5 or 6 years. So, Favell, Visma, Fang Wong, and Zuno and Dickerson, the top 5. Yes, there's a car race going on here, folks, and we should probably talk about it. 6 minutes gone. Favell's going to lead them down under the Armour Bridge for the 3rd time and round onto the main straight. Another lap done. 26 to go by our calculations here. Monday Night Motorsport with extra waste options. It's GT3M from the mountain. And Favell and Visma making light work of the competition. Probably looking at a one-way ticket to... Hello, Brett Bradbury, and don't swear at me like that. It's too early in the evening. The fact of the matter is, these two, Favell and Visma, I would suspect Liam Banks, without knowing for certain, I would suspect that they're looking at a one-way ticket to the Pro Split for next Monday night.
I would suspect so, coming in immediately being 1-2. We saw them having strong races in the GT4. They're having a strong race again in the GT3. Let's have a look at what happened here. This is the instant with Matt Smitke.
Oh, was there contact or netcode? One or the other?
It looked like netcode to me. It looked pretty parallel.
We need another angle, but it looked like a little bit of netcode. That is unlucky for Matt Smitke.
It really is. There's been another incident while we've been chatting. Stephen Brooks has come unstuck somewhere. I saw his name tumbling down the order, and then he's ended up in the pits. Let's have a look here. This is a brilliant camera angle. Well done, Adam. This is going to tell us exactly what's happened. So the side by side down the straight. Bit of side drafting there. Safe through there.
Oh, yeah, there's some netcode, all right. There's some netcode, all right.
That's good. You hate to see it, but it is one of the things that comes with the territory. Racing and iRacing, you cannot have... It's just a physical impossibility to have it perfect, and that's what you have to put up with when you are sim racing rather than racing in the real world. Just a mistake there. We're going to see here what happened to Eduardo Samora. At the elbow.
Bang.
Just loops it round.
There are so many incidents like that we'll see throughout the course of the hour here. It's a hard beast to tame. It's so difficult to master. These guys will trip up occasionally throughout the course of the hour. Favell with the fastest lap of the race, 2:03.173. Visma, Fang Wong, Zuno, Dickerson, Chiplin, Brunt, Fuge, Snad in the top 9. Luke Mackay now 10th in the first of the Audi, in the first of the Mercs, I should say. The first of the Audis, Robert McGrath now down in 15th place. So that means that Tim Watson, Stephen Brooks has dropped 15 spots. That's who was the previously best placed first of the Audis. Robert McGrath, 15th at the moment. Under pressure from William Yarwood. Yarwood trying to get down on the inside. We go back to Brett Campbell in 25th. Yarwood couldn't get the job done. Action aplenty out there at the moment. Grant Gill joining us online, tuning in via our platforms. He'll be, of course, producing the broadcast that we'll see on Thursday night when we bring you some Renault Clio action first up. I don't know how much Chris Whittaker's looking forward to that. And then the Porsches in action as well for a 1 hour race from the Hockenheim. So lots to look forward to. Thursday night, when we go to, actually on the subject of Aussie circuits, we start at Winton on Thursday night. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Someone come and scan either the Bend or Sydney Motorsport Park for us soon enough.
Bend and Sydney Motorsport Park will both end up in iRacing sooner rather than later because they are well-loved tracks. They are famous in Australia, of course, and hence around the world because Supercars is one of the most respected series around the world as far as domestic series goes, up there with the likes of DTM, Super Formula in terms of the respect it's largely because of the incredible racing that takes place at Bathurst every year in the Bathurst 1000. One of what I like to think of as the secondary Triple Crown. You've got your Le Mans, your Monaco, your Indy 500, but then you've got a host of other events that you want to win.
Oh, Robert McGrath! Robert McGrath's had a big one through the chase and met the tyre wall there and off track as well. And the OnlyFans Renee Gracie inspired entry is Mitch McIntyre. Oh, how good's that livery? Fantastic.
I wonder how that's happened. It went off with so much speed. Makes me think he must have had contact. Either that or he's decided to pull out of the race. We'll have to look at that again because it didn't look like he slowed down at all, did it? Well, he's by himself, so it's not contact pushing the grass.
Oh, no. I'm not sure. Oh, curb, and it sent him. He took too much curb on the inside. Oh, boy. Big shunt for Robert McGrath, not done. Ben Wood's in 14th place at the moment. All over the back of Aiden Schultz like a cheap suit. Now, before anyone asks, no, I'm not sure what the subscription fee is for Mitch McIntyre's page. He might elaborate on that a little bit later for you if you are interested. I can only imagine that's the only reason he's running the OnlyFans livery, or he's taking the mickey. And there's probably a fair chance of that, by the way. We just like extracting a little bit of urine on a Monday night, and even more on a Thursday night. 11 3/4 minutes gone, we're on lap 6, and Greg Pavel's punched out the fastest lap of the night. 2:03.051. Let me compose myself. Visma, Fung Wong, Zuno, Dickerson, Chiplin, Brunt, Huge, Snadden, and Mackay, the top 10. Couldn't help myself.
Yeah, Pavel's got himself a nice little buffer out in front, 2.5 seconds, looking to increase it at the moment, just by a couple of tenths a lap. Already looking a bit comfortable, but that's not enough of a buffer to make much of a mistake, but does mean Anthony Visma is going to be fairly small in his rear view mirror. Chuk Fung Wong within 1.5 seconds of Anthony Visma, so he's desperate not to let Pavel get away. He's going to try and close that gap, I am sure, to make sure that he can capitalise on this rare opportunity to take points out of Reece Dickerson at the top of the championship. Reece Dickerson in 5th. He's got Adam Chaplin right behind him, and he's within half a second of Joshua Zuno, which would put him right behind Chuk Fung Wong on track.
Yeah, and forget about that graphic at the bottom of your screen. Pavel's just gone out and done it again. 2:02.987, and there's Stephen Brooks in the wall. And almost getting rear-ended. Which would have been ironic given the livery was running, but anyway, 13 minutes gone. 2:02.987 for Greg Pavel, the fastest lap of the night thus far.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch that comment with a rusty barge pole, I'll be honest. We did see the the Bean Boss Racing.
It's just asking for trouble, that livery. I'm not even going to lie.
It certainly is. Bean Boss Racing livery going past. I'm trying to pick out which driver that would have been. Would that have been Clint Collard? Is he the Bean Boss Racing?
No, Clint didn't start.
Adam Tice in 17th, running the 37 car. That would have been the car that almost got taken out by OnlyFans sponsorship there.
Yep. Stephen Brooks, yep. And so you got Stephen Brooks and Mitch McIntyre actually chasing fans throughout the course of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. They might be offering to sign virtual autographs at the end of the night. We'll find out and let you know, Jeff. Don't worry about that. In the meantime, here's Mitch McIntyre having his own moment through the chase. Uh-oh. You're not supposed to do the jump this early in the night, Mitch. What are you doing? Oh, Jesus. That'll come with a nice handy stop and hold, I'd imagine. Yeah, they're both in the pit lane now, Brooks and McIntyre. Their night's done. They've made their point. They've made their statement. They're taking off. Josh Zuno out there in 4th place at the moment, a buddy of the show. He's having a good run in the 1, 2, 3, and in 4th place as well, just for the numerical fanatics out there. And just need either Lou Beeger or someone from High Five to come in and finish it off. Let's head up Mountain Straight with Josh Zuno right now in the BMW. He's having a solid run now, mate.
Because it's behind in the 1-4, one was 4 as 5, and he's in 5th place.
Very nice. I like it. Very nicely done. Greg Pavel 2:02.952 now, the fastest lap of the race. We're just having too much fun with a couple of things happening out there. Dickerson pushes Zuno wide, forced him into a mistake, opened the door. Here goes Dickerson up the outside to the cutting. They'll avoid a Murphy Ambrose repeat and go through line of stern. Zuno slots back into 5th. Fantastic stuff. So McIntyre and Brooks are parked up for the night. They're done. They're out of business. Robert McGrath as well. So all the Audis, with the exception of Tim Watson, have parked up.
I will say we did see McIntyre going wide at the cutting a couple of laps beforehand. Didn't see why he was wide and how much time he lost, so I suspect the jump might have been a lap or two after that, deciding to call it quits with the time loss.
Good pickup, actually, because that was his second stop when he came in at the end of lap 6 there, so at the end of lap 5, so the start of lap 6. Good pickup, Liam. So he's obviously already been in, expired the fast repair, and then said, look, I can't make it home without making an extra pit stop, and therefore the night's just done. Quit while you're ahead. Go and kill your time a little bit more wisely. Sell the product another way if you like. Greg Favell, 202.952. Visma, Fang Wong, Dickerson, Zuno, Chiplin, Brunt, Snadden, Fuge, Kai, the only non-Ferrari BMW in the top 10 in the Merc. Then Bullock, Holland, Schultz, Woods and Yarwood. There are only 2 cars in the top 15 that are not a Ferrari or a BMW, and that's a split of 5 and 8. 8 BMWs in the top 15 rather, at the moment, which is just extraordinary. 6 of them are in the top 8.
I just want to call out the battle we got on screen here. This is Watson, Johnson, Seidel, and Christensen we were just watching. The brightly coloured cars versus the darker cars, and they were nothing to choose between them. We're now cut to the battle for 4th again. Reece Dickinson has got Joshua Zuno basically pushing him down the straight. Let's have a look at what happens once they reach Griffins. Going too wide again and again. It's Dickinson on the inside, Zuno on the outside, but this time looking to make the overtake rather than defending. He's got himself alongside, going into the cutting. That should be job done.
Oh, jeez.
Did not leave him much space there. Just the car's moving a bit, which is all that Dickinson is entitled to on the outside. But I tell you what, that would have been a scary moment from inside the cockpit.
Indeed, it would have been. Now for Vel, Visma, Fang Wong, now Zuno and Dickerson, and Chiplin hanging in there for good measure as well. It's great to have your company. It is Monday Night Motorsport with thanks to Waste Options on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We're on lap 9 around Mount Panorama. We're on our way to the end of the 18th minute, and Greg Favell just continues to lower the bar on the fastest lap radar. 202.731 that time around. Here's what happened to Ben Woods. Bang. Oh no, not a bang, just a slide. I thought he was going for that outside wall, and he eventually got it, but on the reverse.
Yeah,
not on the side or on the front, which would have been a far more aggressive impact. There's what happened to Neil Gladwin now that he finally got out on the racetrack, and that'll do him. But yeah, just a little bit of a nudge as he was trying to reverse back up and get back going.
This is Dixon on the inside of Zuno into the final corner, and he's got that done.
Adam Chiplin was just flirting with the line there, wasn't he? As far as the pit lane entry was concerned, he wouldn't have wanted to leave that any later to make a commitment.
He certainly was, and he's done a clever thing there, hasn't he? He's seen these two fighting for, you know what, I'm not getting past either of these two while they're squabbling amongst themselves. I'm a pit, see if I can get myself some clean air and try and get ahead of them through the pit stops in this first round of pit stops. I imagine we're going to see the rest of the field in within the next few laps. Just want to call out that gap at the front of the race is now blowing out from 2.5 seconds to 4.3. Greg Favell absolutely pulling the pin and deciding he wants a bit more of a buffer, can now afford to make a bit of a mistake and still stay ahead of Anthony Visma.
The margin's 4.3, and Visma back to Fang Wong is 3 seconds, and then it's 7 seconds back to this three-way fight. So it's Dickerson, Zuno and Brunt, Snadden, Fuge, Mackay and Bullock make up the top 10. And I mean, we're in that window. We're absolutely in that window where you can come in, stop, and get home. A 9-lap opening stint, a 10-lap second stint, a 10-lap third stint to get you home. Some of these guys will want to run it to the end of lap 12, run the tank dry, maybe stretch it to 13 if they've been smart enough on the fuel economy front. But at the end of the day, there's the beauty of Mount Panorama and the beauty of a field this size with the traffic and logjam that comes with it is that there will be some varying strategy play, which makes it all the more interesting for us and those of you watching along at home as well. Monday Night Motorsport on the platforms, the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club, and we're at 1/3 race distance.
Yeah, and at 1/3 race distance, we're watching Bullock putting the pressure on Luke Mackay, basically pushed him down the hill. Didn't get as good an exit off the elbow though, did he? So he's lost a bit of that ground at the crucial point. I wonder if he's going to be able to catch up using the slipstream before they get through to the chase. Oh, is he going to make a move? No, he's not going to make a move there. Going to have to stay behind him. Just lost time there. Looked like he had it in the legs, but just couldn't get the exit off Forest Elbow.
Got a good run out of the chase though. Can he set something up for Murray's? No, he can't, because the car in front, the Merc, wants to defend vigorously and rather relentlessly into the final corner into Murray's. Down the main straight we go. Josh Zuno comes to pit lane at the end of lap 10.
So,
Yeah, let's see where he comes out in respect to Adam Chiplin.
So just a point to make here also, with Visma and Favel, it's their first race tonight, so that's why they're in the end. So there's a good chance they'll be bumped up for the final next week into the pro split, given their pace.
I would imagine so. Absolutely.
That's
They've made a statement from the outset, haven't they? Here comes Flick on the outside. On the inside is Mackay. They're side by side again. Mackay trying to go to 8. Bullock gets him back on the inside. Oh, jeez, I'll tell you what. Yeah, there was a little bit of hip and shoulder there. A little bit of contact.
Well, there's that.
Mackay's wide and then gets turned. Mackay gets turned.
That was a bit more than hip and shoulder. That was a full body contact there.
Oh, yeah.
Just trying to cut back in after being served wide and didn't account for the third driver in the equation. Was so focused on Brian Bullock they didn't realise that there was a car behind him trying to just nip through. Came back across the line. You see it in MotoGP more often than car racing, that kind of convergence of lines. But that's what's happened there, and that's a bit unlucky. I don't think he could have known the car on the inside was there. He'd have had to use his racing brain to realise that the car was likely going to be up the inside without needing to see him. So I can definitely understand how that collision has occurred. And I just want to call out Chiplin getting ahead of Zuno by half a second. So that early pit stop working out for Chiplin.
Leaders in.
Favel and Visma come to pit lane at the end of lap 11. So that's interesting to get a gauge of the scope of the range of the cars here on fuel mileage, that is. At the moment, 11 laps around here is just over 68 kilometres. Pushing about 68.5 actually kilometres. So when you're in a race to, we think, 29 laps, 11 gets them to 22, which means a short splash and dash for a 7-lap run home. But that also means, so our critical number therefore becomes lap 18. And about the last lap we'd expect to see anyone in would be, well, Matty Brunt's going for a 12-lap run, as is Tim Fuge. So if they're coming in lap 12, the latest you're going to see anybody get in to the lane will probably be lap 24. So you've got a fair bit of room to move there. With regards to when you come in and stop, you can stop anytime from, we anticipate, lap 18 and be safe to the checkered flag, provided that you top the tank right up.
We saw a couple of guys go up on jacks that would have just changed the right side tyres just to help them a bit later in the race.
So for context, ladies and gentlemen, 68.343 kilometres is 11 laps around Mount Panorama. So yeah, closer to 68.5 than 68.
Important development in that pit cycle. Chiplin and Zuno have both got ahead of Reese Dixon. So Reese Dixon, who was right behind Chiplin Wong was in third, Dickinson was in fourth. Chiplin and Zuno have come out in effectively fourth and fifth place in this race.
The interesting thing there too is that obviously Chiplin stopped a lap earlier than Zuno, so therefore took on 1.3 seconds less of fuel. Zuno took on 1.6 less seconds of fuel than Dickinson, who stopped 1 lap later. So Dickinson's run the tank dry. Those two haven't quite. So that invoice will balance out somewhere along the line, you would suspect, as those two will have to stop for a slightly longer period of time on the run home at the second stop.
The other thing we don't know is, like Adam pointed out, who in that stop took 2 tyres and who didn't, because that could also explain the slightly longer pit time that you described there. So you're looking at Reece Dixon 19 seconds compared to, say, Adam Chiplin 16. David Christensen's only 7, but he stopped really early, so we can discount him. And then some drivers taking 23 seconds. Bullock and Schultz 23 seconds in the pits. A large differentiation there in pit stop times.
He's going to make a move. Josh on the inside. So the 23 second stops, they'd be the guys who took 4 tyres. The guys who took 2 tyres, they could probably do it within the fuel load quite comfortably. The full 4 tyres is slightly more than a full tank of fuel. Because the GT3s, although they do now do tyres at the same time as fuel, they still do 1 tyre at a time.
Yes, so 4 tyres takes longer than 2 tyres. 2 tyres can be done with this short fuel that we have because they don't run a full tank in this championship. But to change all 4 tyres will take longer than the pit stop time. So we're not going to see anyone do that, but you will see a heap of drivers take 2 tyres in either one or both stops. And there's a car off in the background. Who's that?
Oh,
that was James
it's Tim Fuge.
Tim Fuge.
Tim Fuge has had an off at Hell Corner. And one of his teammates has slipped on by there. In Adam Lee Holland as he's come back out of pit lane. So Adam Lee Holland and Tim Fuge both got to lap 12, but Fuge on cold tyres has lit it up. Bang. Uh-oh. That makes a watch for his own back for the rest of the night if he's sustained any sort of damage.
Yeah, if you can pick one place you don't want to crash, it's just outside pit lane when you know you've got to do a full lap to get back around if you do have damage. It's also a little bit embarrassing, isn't it? But it's easily done, particularly once you get to this level of racing. The GT3's got a lot of power under your right foot. Even with the traction control, you can make a mistake on the cold tyres. Just line it up as you're getting out of the pits and crash like we saw there. And anything behind this, you're looking at your high-powered single-seaters or your Indy cars. I do not want to admit to how many times I have crashed coming out of pit lane just in practice sessions or anything, because it is so easy to do. You switch your brain off for a second because you're not thinking, you're not in the race really at that moment. You're worried about other things, who's coming, and you just make a small mistake from that. But hopefully Tim Fuge hasn't got too much damage to recover. Reece Dixon looking to go to the inside. That's late.
Oh.
Gets it stopped. Car on the outside still there. He's going to have the inside for the final corner if he stays here.
Those guys did really well to keep it clean through the chase there, because it looked like one of them was going to run wide and one of them was going to slide. So, whoa, look at that up on the outside as well. David Christensen says, thanks very much. I'll go up the outside at Dickerson and I'll go after Chiplin. Christensen to 6th.
Yeah, Dickerson will
From
be kicking himself there. Was really, really polite on the inside and just scrubbed off too much speed and let Christensen get past as well. The thing is with that corner, that final corner, you do tend to understeer through there if you're going to do anything, so he's probably worried about that, really wanted to make sure he kept it clean and just scrubbed off too much speed.
So Favell is the leader. His margin, his advantage is 7 seconds. He's another contender for car of the night with the all-Australian type livery, and that's Adam Johnson, and not the way that he would have wanted to end his night here.
Certainly not the way he would have wanted to end it. Adam Johnson's still in the server though at the moment in 22nd place, just lost the position to Nigel Seidel.
And still on the lead lap by the skin of his teeth, but with a little bit of damage hamstringing his performance, and now into pit lane on that note.
Oh, what was that?
Whoa, there's more trouble coming down through the S's and on the run towards the dipper. Into the wall goes Adam Chiplin. No! Chiplin bites the concrete.
Oh.
And is stuck mid-track at the top of Mount Panorama and is on the tow rope. Chiplin's night is done. Anyone that falls foul and has to come in now, automatically looking at an extra pit stop. Automatically looking at another pit stop. It was a big moment, a wild ride for Chiplin at the top of the mountain.
Now we're watching. Oh, another driver. That's Brian Bullock. He's coming stuck.
That's
Riding the wall down.
And that looks like he's got no brakes. It looks like he's just lost the brakes or the throttle's jammed.
Yeah, it's like his reels stopped and he's just going straight ahead.
Yep, and Brian Bullock's bitten the dust as well. So already Already, boys, as we tick over to the halfway mark of the race on lap 15, we can tell you the attrition rate is climbing. Oh, wild ride, bang. Oh, actually, yeah, he was well out of control from that point. And he thought, considering I've just written the car off anyway, I may as well just finish the job properly.
Make sure I get on the broadcast.
Yeah, exactly. Mission accomplished. Tick that box. Oh, boy. The BMW Brigade coming unstuck here. First it was Adam Chipman, then Brian Bullock. And Brian has parked up for the night. So too Schmidtke, Craig, Brooks, McIntyre, McGrath, Zamora, and Hanma as well. They have all parked up. So already we've seen the better part of 8 retirements in this race. And Chiplin could be the 9th, depending upon whether he parks up or stays there in pit lane or not. 75% race distance of 29 is 22 laps. So anyone that can get to that point will get classified. But so far, that's proving difficult.
Yeah,
29 minutes to go.
Already seen about a third of the grid either retired or no longer on the lead lap because of problems during the race. So down to only 20 runners on the lead lap, and Adam Johnson only just to really make that 19 who are solidly on the lead lap. And that tells you everything you need to know about how difficult it is to get one of these cars around this track, even with traction control, even with ABS. It's so difficult because these cars are proper machines, not like the GT4s we saw in the race, which are fantastic to race, but they are much easier to drive than these GT3s, and that's why the GT3 sits in the prime spot compared to the GT4. Yes, the racing in the GT4s is phenomenal.
Now, into pit lane, David Christensen. Sorry, Liam, going to jump in there. David Christensen is on pit road. That can't be a scheduled pit stop. He's too far out from the checkered flag, I'd imagine.
First stop.
He did.
So
it's going to be
a
very...
Still 14 laps.
He's going to have to really save fuel to make it.
100%. I can't see him doing it. Cannot see him doing it. No one got more than 12 laps out of that opening stint.
From memory, he pitted on lap 3 due to, I assume, an incident. And yeah, that's made it really hard for himself. But it doesn't look like he's going to try and get home in 2. He might just have a splash and dash if he realises he's not going to make it. Matthew Brunt on screen right now. He's got Dane Snadden right behind him. Snadden, one of the faster drivers in the amateur split of the Porsche Cup last season. Don't know if he earned a call up to the. Can't remember if he earned a call up to the pros, but that's about the level he's at. He's right at the top of any amateur series he's in, or he's in the pros. He's a very, very fast driver, and he is looking to put the pressure onto Matthew Brunt to take home 6th place to the 7th. Which would... Oh, so he's only down to 17th in the standings, Dane Snadden. So still getting to grips with this car. So this would be a good result for him in the GT3s. I'm used to seeing him in the Porsche Cup, if anywhere. So that'll be good for him. Yeah, look at him coming down the chase. Might be able to set up a move. He'll have to go to the inside. That's going to be from far back if he goes to that note. Decides that discretion is the better part of valor. Better to just try and close up, get a better run through here, see if he can make anything happen in the final corner, and if it's not the final corner, then just try and get a better run out of the first corner and make a move down towards the cutting. Lead out the front is now 10 seconds. Greg Favell over Anthony Visima. Visima not getting away from Chuck Fung Wong though. Only 2.2 seconds. Was 1.5 during the just before the start of the pit stop phase. So there may very well just be a difference in the in lap and out lap that has explained that change to 2.2 seconds. So don't discount Chuck Fung Wong for making it a battle with Visma a bit later in the race. And then Joshua Zuno is 9.3 seconds behind Chuck Fung Wong. So those podium positions looking quite well set. The only question is, who will it be, Visma or Fung Wong in second place at this point? However, with the attrition we've seen, that may change. Closest battle on the track is this one on your screens. Snadden trying to find a way past Brunt, and then just behind them, 20 seconds down, we've got Adam Lee Holland trying to defend from Tim Fuge, who we saw having that mistake coming out of the pits. And then right down further down, you got Tim Watson defending from Neil Gladwin for 17th place.
So there's an extended run through the field with thanks to Liam Banks. 25 minutes to play here. Mount Panorama Monday Night Motorsport for waste options. And the GT3 M Series. Remembering next Monday night we'll bring you the GT3 Pro finale straight after the GT4 finale from Sandown. The GT3 finale, of course, from the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Coverage from 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. 2:02.675. Greg Favell lowers the benchmark again as far as the fastest lap of the race is concerned. Visma, Feng Wong, Zuno, Dickerson. Oh, off goes William Yarwood. William Yarwood's had a monster shot at the top of the mountain. Oh, that's a biggie. Curb. Oh, no, lap traffic maybe? Oh, no, he's just done it all on his own. Lost the rear end. Oh. It is trademark Bathurst 101. You just find the wrong bump coming over that crest and you are a passenger. He's found that out the hard way, but I can't believe how quickly it spewed him back across the racetrack.
You got the edge of the tyre wall.
That'll do it. There we go.
And good on him for not just grabbing a toe and calling it a night. He's driving that thing back to pit lane. I wonder if he's got a fast repair in the bank still that he's planning to use. Might be able to get it home from here as well. It'll be an early pit stop. We'll have to do a bit of fuel saving, but what did we say was the critical lap number?
About now.
About now.
About,
so
yeah,
might just get
18.
home.
Yep, 18. You'd be able to. Well, some drivers went 12 laps on that opening stint, so they could pit now and be comfortable. Those that went 11 could also pit now and get home. Those that went 12, definitely. Those that went 10, not sure how they're going to go. Adam Tice, they might have to wait just another lap or so. Depends on how much juice you're chewing up and whether there was actually any left in the tank when you pitted in the first place. Greg Favell, Anthony Visma, Chuk Fang Wong, Josh Zuno, and Reece Dickerson, the top 5. Look down there on the inside, didn't work for Dane Snadden on Matty Brunt. So it's now BMWs and Ferraris locking out the top 9 spots as it has been most of the night. 5 Bimmers, 4 Ferraris. The Mercedes of Luke Mackay making up the top 10. Aidan Schultz and James Frencone continue Ferrari's presence, 11th and 12th. Then the Mercedes of Adam Tice, the BMW of David Christensen, Porsche of Ben Woods making up the top 15. Conrad straight one more time. Here comes Luke Mackay. I'm surprised by Ferrari's performance here, fellas, because normally we associate the long straights of Mount Panorama with the legs and the muscle that the BMWs and the Mercs bring to the table. But I guess Ferrari's top end, or top of the circuit, over the second split across the top and down through the S's and Dipper might be what's just brought them into the fight here. As we make our way down into Murray's Corner once more. Adam Lee Holland is there in 8th place, being followed by Tim Fuge.
I think the thing with the Fez, it's sort of like the good all-round car. It hasn't really got a real strength or weakness to isolate. So, that's a bit of a weakness. But yeah, it's a little bit more of like an all-rounder car. So it's one of those ones you can just if you get your head around it, you can still get the good lap times out of it.
Copy that. Just reminding everybody, Thursday Night Motorsport this week, Winton and Hockenheim, the 2 tracks. The Renault Clio first up for the production cars, and of course round 9 of the Porsches. Thanks to Blackout Electrical Solutions. There's Tim Fuge in 10th place at the moment. We're past that critical lap number. Greg Favell's lead is now 10 seconds over Anthony Visma, who has 4 seconds on Chuk Fang Wong. Then Josh Zuno, a distant 4th at the moment, with Reece Dickerson and Matty Brunt. No real battle in the top 5. Matty Brunt, Dane Snadden, the first battle on track. We saw that a moment ago. We're looking at the battle between Luke Mackay and Tim Fuge for 9th and 10th. BMW and Ferrari, the dominant forces here at the moment. Speaking of Ferrari, though, how nice was it to see throughout the course of the weekend the reign of Toyota brought undone at Le Mans. Terrific performance from Ferrari, and a great story for not just sports car racing but for motorsport at large, to see them clean up at the Le Mans 24-hour there in the south of France, and brilliant coverage I thought on Stan Sport throughout the course of the weekend as well. 20 minutes to go. Greg Favell still leads this race. Now, hang on. Anthony Visma struck troubles. Anthony Visma has dropped in behind Chuk Fung Wong.
And he's still
That
losing
is
time.
change.
He's just lost the position to Josh Schuerno as well.
Yeah, Visma's come undone. What is going on here? This is coming onto the main straight. Uh-oh. Concrete. Oh. And he's got a limp at home.
Don't do that.
Oh, no, don't do that at all. He's now got a limp at home for an entire lap.
I think the second hit was actually for damage his car.
And look at the engine going too. Yeah. Visma's out of business. What looked like an almost certain second place finish has, if you'll pardon the expression, blown up in smoke.
Now we're going to watch what's happened to Nigel Zeidel. Let's see. Did well to scrub off the speed. Knew he was going to crash. Scrubbed off most of the speed before contact. Did the right thing there. Of course, it's better not to crash, but once he realised he was going to crash, he did everything right and minimised damage. Surprised to see him actually get on the tow rope there. Should have probably continued because there wouldn't have been that much damage, I can't imagine, because it was such a slow speed incidents. Now watching Tim Fuge, he invited Luke McKay to attack him a couple of laps ago, has managed to get back past Luke McKay. Oh, that's Adam Johnson's pointing the wrong way, managed to stay out of the way of the still recovering Visma, who's now down to 6th place and still losing time, but we're lucky to be in the top 10 by the time he gets to the pit lane. Tim Fuge having got back past Luke Mackay at some point. Don't know when that happened, but we did see, you might not have caught it, but in the background of the shot when we were watching Tim Fuge after that, Luke Mackay was getting all sorts of out of shape coming through the cutting. And there we go, getting out of shape there at the chase.
Whoa.
And Tim Fuge not wanting to let an opportunity go past.
And this is the point. High risk, high reward around here. And quite often you've got to slowly but surely chip away at those overtaking opportunities when they present themselves. And you have to pounce while the iron is hot. And he was able to do that, Tim Fuge. It was very nicely done. Into the pit lane comes Chuk Fung Wong. So he's second stop. And Visma in there limping at home as well. Half a lap down on Favell now. Extraordinary. And the other point, sorry Liam, the other point I was going to say with regards to this is, you look at Mount Panorama, you don't look at it as a circuit that's easy for overtaking opportunities. Turn 23, turn 1, turn 2, absolutely. After that, you're looking at maybe the elbow and then either the entry into or the exit out of the chase. Out of 23 corners, I've just highlighted 6 legitimate overtaking opportunities around here. That's 25% of the circuit, just a little bit more.
Yeah, it is very hard to overtake, particularly in these big GT3 cars. You know, you get into a GT4 like we saw at Oran Park, and they can overtake anywhere. You get a GR86 around here, Formula V. I mean, we've watched some absolutely cracking races with the Formula V here throughout the years, but in these GT3s, it is much harder, and it is much harder just to get it round the circuit, and that's why we've seen so many cars already crash, getting towards half the field now, getting involved in some sort of incident, or just retiring completely. So what you just need to do is keep it clean, right? Keep it clean and don't go for an overtake if it's not there, because in all likelihood you're going to move forward as long as you just put in respectable lap times. If you come across someone that's a similar pace, really think about whether you need to get past them, whether you can just sit there and stick. Maybe it's slightly when it comes to its own, because the worst thing you can do is have an accident and lose bucket loads of time, like what's happened to Anthony Visma, who was looking at a comfortable second place, maybe feeling a bit of the pressure from Chuk Fung Wong in third, so even was their pace. But you know, if he doesn't have that incident, he's coming home in the podium, and now he's going to be lucky to get a top 10, given he is all the way down in 18th place currently, albeit having made 2 pit stops.
Favell and Suno into the pit lane now as well, and Snowden and Dickerson continue on. So Favell's in and out. Job done. It was a 21.9 second pit stop, which seems a little bit excessive for the fact that there's only 8 laps to go for him, but when you've got an advantage, the length and size that he has, you can probably afford an extra few seconds along pit road just to make sure you tick all the boxes and get everything right. Up Mountain Straight. There's Zuno coming back into the race. Now, what works in Zuno's favour is the third driver in the train that has completed. Yes, can't win if you don't finish. Well pointed out, Greg Padgett. He's the third driver in the train to have completed both stops.
Yes,
so Dickerson, the championship leader, is the current race leader. But what we should point out there is he still has an invoice to pay.
Yes, still got to make another stop. Only 40 minutes left, so it won't be for a full tank of fuel. It could even be as little as half a tank that he might take if he pushes it out as far as he can before he pits. But he is going to have to pit again, and he's going to have to defend from Dane Snadden, who's now within a second of him. Greg Favell, I imagine, has taken full set of new tyres because he had the time to. So just that's what would explain the extra time in pit lane, just to make sure he brings it home safely rather than coming out with worn tyres, or particularly if he had worn tyres on one side. Just get it all neat and tidy and make sure you win this race, having just seen the car in second go off the track. That's Gladwin off the track as well. Chuck from Wong a much faster pit stop, but it's not going to be enough to get anywhere near Greg Favell, still 11.5 seconds behind.
Oh boy, end of the lane come Dickerson and Snadden. Favell will inherit the race lead here. Great to have someone of his experience showing these GT3, well, he's a new member of the club, but you don't just waltz in here without a little bit of credential and towel the competition up in a field of this calibre. So nice to see someone with some experience joining the club and taking these guys to task. In a one-way ticket to a date with the Pro Boys next week to really test his skill. And looking forward to that as well when we get to the Red Bull Ring.
Greg Favell with an I rating just shy of 3,000, which is one of the highest in the server. Maverick Brunt actually with the highest in the server with almost 4,500, which for those of you who don't know, that is a very, very respectable I rating. That would put him in the top few % in the world. Greg Favell with 2,900, he'd also be getting towards the top. Anything above 2.5 is very, very strong. Most drivers in the field, somewhere between 1 and 2. And of course, it doesn't always accurately reflect skill level. A lot of these drivers, evidenced by the fact they're in a league race right now, will do a lot more league racing than what we call officials, which is where you earn your I rating. So a lot of these will be lower than that actual speed would indicate. But it just sort of shows you that Greg Favell, as you mentioned, is an experienced driver because his I rating comes up.
Oh, no, there goes Benny Woods. There goes Benny Woods. And just having a look at the leaderboard at the moment and who's bitten the dust so far tonight. Woods is now back in pit lane. Campbell's there with him. Chiplin's back out there, but 3 laps down. But Seidel, Bullock, Schmidtke, Craig, Brooks, McIntyre, McGrath, Zamora and Hanma. So that's 10 cars that have run into some sort of trouble tonight, including the 2 that are currently in pit lane. There's a couple more where that came from. Obviously, Anthony Visma's another one, but at least he's got back out there. I can tell you that there are, at the moment, 17 cars on the lead lap.
Tell you what,
And we're on our way home.
As we mentioned, Greg Favell, newcomer to the league. Because he's a newcomer, always gets put into the open split. We assume he'll be in the pros next time out. Adam, he's doing the broadcast, we're doing the calculations, but as we've already heard from Adam, he's suspecting he'll be in the pros. And when Adam says that, you have to listen because he's the one that does the calculations. But Chuck Fung Wong will be very, very happy to take what is effectively a victory for those that are permanent amateur members in this race, because it's such a difficult track. This is a real badge of pride for Chuck, even if he doesn't manage to wheel in Dickerson for the championship.
202 is a very acceptable. I think, like when we look at the results for the pro, I'm pretty sure they'll be in the ones. They may sneak into the 2 deads, but yeah, the 202 is definitely on the par with the guys up there.
Look how close he got to the wall there. Not a cigarette paper's width between himself and the wall. Can't believe we didn't hear scraping sounds, actually. Let's just follow him through here and look at the precision of the inputs, getting close to every single wall, not leaving any time on the table. It's going to pull it nice and right here to open up this corner, get right into that wall. There's a bit of a dip there, like there is at the cutting. That just helps you pull the car around so you can carry a bit of extra speed. The danger being, if you don't hit that dip and you carry that extra speed, you crash into the wall on the outside. Now we're going to watch him through here. He'll keep the car nice and steady, minimal steering inputs as he gets to the chase. We'll use this extra bit of tarmac.
So much,
Keep it.
not much vision inside that BMW from inside.
No, not at all. Perfect. Absolutely beautiful. Not Larry, definitely not pushing. There's a bit more lap time in that, but just precise, not leaving much on the table, but keeping it relatively comfortable. Although saying that, he did get a bit of a wiggle outside the final corner, so maybe I spoke a little bit too soon. You just saw that with a little bit of camera shake on your screen. That would have been the rear tyres just lining up a little bit as he tried to get the accelerator down.
So that's Team Fuge and I. That should cleanse the most of the top 10.
Certainly will, and that's run through that.
Other than David Christensen, who may need to pay an invoice for an early stop.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say the same thing. Just having a look at him come across the line now at the end of lap 24, he'd have to be clutching at this point. I can't see how he'd possibly make it home in a 14-lap stint. There are 5 laps to go, gentlemen.
iRacing has taken the clutch away from the boys' GT3, remember? So
Exactly.
even though the cars have a clutch, iRacing said you can't use it during the car's movement at a certain speed, which is a bit ridiculous.
Ridiculous. But that's the kind of thing you can do when you're really the only well-established sim in town. As much as...
Side by side again, here go the two teammates. Adam Lee Holland to the inside of Tim Fuge into P8.
That was them battling after Tim Fuge came out of pit lane. We saw him peeing on the last lap. Managed not to spin this time, which is good to see. Get a clean exit. But Adam Lee Holland getting back in front of Tim Fuge. I'll just finish the point I was going to make. Of course, the only really real competition for iRacing at the moment is Assetto Corsa Competizione only, which is GT3 specific only. But it just doesn't have nearly the following that iRacing has at the moment, despite iRacing being a 10-year-old platform at this point. Really do a bit of competition.
A little bit older. Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's that other one that keeps stealing all the good events office.
Oh, that one that can't.
But their platform's no good.
Right, yep.
Yeah, I don't mention that one because I don't think of it as a competitor.
It's the
That's fair.
It's what's it called?
R-Factor
The poor
2.
cousin.
No.
Greg Favell leads. You think of it, Adam. Come back to me. 2:02.675 for Favell, the fastest lap of the race thus far. Fang Wong second, the margin 14 and a third. So 14.4 seconds actually now. It's edged out to Josh Zuno holding off Matty Brunt at the moment. So that battle for third's going to rage before the end of this race, I would suspect. Then we've got Snadden, Christensen, under pressure from Dickerson. Dickerson ahead of Holland. Well ahead of Holland, in fact. But will be under pressure from Fuge. Interesting to note there too, boys, that Fuge got to 12 laps again for that second stint. So he's been very good on the fuel mileage and economy tonight. Aidan Schultz sitting there in 11th at the moment, chasing Luke Mackay, who is 0.7 of a second up the road. You'll see him in shot in just a moment. There we go. There's the difference. 3 laps to go at the line for Greg Favell. It's back to James Francone. Good-looking livery that as well. More yellow and black. I'm all for it.
It's probably a bit late now, but I was trying to think of it's the Willowbank of Zach's racing tracks.
Oh, okay. Yep, gotcha. That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the championship standings, and we'll obviously get this confirmed before the broadcast is out, thanks to the magic of the calculations that Adam does in the background while we fill, waiting for him to get to get those done before we sign off for the night. What this is going to do is going to put Chuck from Wong in that battle for first place in the championship, unless Dickerson can make. If Dickerson can make another position, that'll really help him out. But Chuck from Wong currently in second place. Dickerson is in 7th, so that's going to be quite a. That's going to lead to those two compressing a bit. He's going to pull away from Chiplin, Smitke, Yarwood, who all came under pressure in this race and are not going to get great results. We might also see Adam Lee Holland move into 3rd place, would be my bet. He's the lead scorer out of that battle pack between 3rd to 6th in the championship, with Chuck Fung Wong in 2nd. He could have, at the end of this race, either been in the battle for 3rd or been in the battle for 1st. With that strong result of 2nd, if he can make it to the end, and we've only got a couple more laps to go, so there's no reason to believe he won't.
100%.
Touching wood, not doing the commentator's curse again tonight. He will be in that battle for 1st. We're watching Matthew Brunt side by side.
Matty Brunt finally finds a way by Josh Zuno. Brunt by Zuno to go to 3rd. But under pressure for the final 3 laps here. Favell leads them up the hill. Fung Wong 2nd. He was just dropping by at the bottom of your screen there. Back we go. Anthony Visma's punched out the fastest lap of the night at 2:02.660. But look at Zuno trying to send it down the inside to Griffin's Bend. Not going to get it done. So Zuno is there, throwing everything at it and then some. And we've also got to keep an eye on a couple of other battles here, because we've got Dickerson chasing Christensen, 6th and 7th, and we've got Holland under the pump from Fuge, and we've got Schultz now edging out Luke Mackay. Schultz has got to 10th, Mackay's been edged out, so it's now an all Ferrari, all Bimmer top 10. It's 5 and 5, an even split. 1, 2 is BMW Ferrari, then 3, 4, 5, 6 is Bimmer, 7, 8, 9, 10 is Ferrari. 2 manufacturers dominating the top 10 at Mount Panorama.
And Josh should be upset with himself there. He made that mistake at the elbow last lap, which has opened up the door and taken him off the podium. So he'll be keen to try and see if he can get it back.
Absolutely, he will be. It's all happening. 3:35 left on the clock. Favell's about to come into the chase and out of once again, and he'll get to the line with 2 laps to go. So we'll get to 29. That's not a problem. We'll get to 29. The Zaculator's right on song tonight, and it's going to be Greg Favell by a fair stretch. He'll be coming into Murray's as Chuk Fung Wong's coming into the chase, I'd imagine. Whoa! Big one! Massive shot at the top of the mountain! Big one! That's Adam Johnson out of 18th, and that will be night done. Oh boy. Neil Gladwin was the next one up the road, so Adam wasn't even in positional battle. He was going a lap down, and heaven help us if it had come back into the line of traffic there, because he could have taken out 3 legitimate race top 10 contenders there. Oh my goodness me. Big moment for Adam Johnson. And a sketchy moment for everybody else, because they would have encountered him as lap traffic. So this was the boys fighting for 10th, the 3-way fight for 10th. Look at that. Bang.
I bet Schultz was just thinking, oh, just come across behind me, come across behind me.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me a bit of breathing space. Because he's defending from Luke Mackay and James Francone, that are right next to each other on track. Just want to call out our friend David Christensen. We'll keep in line him, see if he gets to the end of the race. He's had to pit again. Yep. So he's dropped down all the way down to 17th.
And he's done a boo-boo.
Oh, that is.
Oh, no.
Oh, that is. Yeah.
That just puts the exclamation mark on the night, doesn't it? Really frustrating for Christensen. Too early a stop early in the piece. Had no choice by the sounds of it. But now it's all come undone. It's all blown up. Now, this is interesting, because obviously with Christensen pitting, Luke Mackay's now back in the top 10.
Certainly is, and he might get another spot into the top, further into the top 10. Looking to take 9th place. We saw him get on the inside of Aiden Schultz, but then that was going to be the outside for the cutting, which is not where you want to be. It wasn't going to get past there. Now he's just tucked him right behind him and pushing up the hill and look to make a move down. Oh no, he's hit the wall.
Oh,
still damage on the side of the car.
Schultz only just kept it off the wall as well. These guys are on the ragged edge. 4:30 in the afternoon at Mount Panorama. How good's this?
Steering looks like it's still straight, so that's a plus.
Fading light, pressure mounting. Schultz with a lap and a half to go, holding off 9th place over Luke Mackay and pulling away.
Yeah, I think Luke Mackay now is going to have to look in his rearview mirror rather than in front of him, because James Francone's been second behind, and if that's heard his straight line speed, Francone's going to get him down to the chase.
2:02.64 for Greg Favell. Just quietly have a look at that. 2:02.64 for Favell. Doing a very nice job. 16 seconds up the road on Chuk Fung Wong.
So, yeah,
16 seconds. Let that sink in for a moment, boys.
Faville and Vesma just nipping at each other's fastest laps.
Yeah, Visma having done a 2-minute 2.66 and Vival a 2-minute 2.64. Let's see who's got that after the final lap, which we're about to go on to.
We're already on.
We're on it.
And Greg Favell is on the run home. So these guys will come onto the last lap now. They'll get the white flag from Barney. Is actually in the designated flag stand. Have a look at that. Fantastic.
The downside is it's on the wrong. It's on the start line, and the finish line, though.
Yeah, that's right. They need another one at the finish line. Yeah, exactly. But that's okay. We can deal with that. One's better than none. Yeah. iRacing haven't quite perfected it yet, but at least they've got in there. Now, Greg Favell. This has been a faultless performance from him throughout the course of the evening. Have a look at the black and yellow shining brightly on the biggest stage at the Mecca of Australian motorsport, the penultimate round of Waste Options GT3 AM. Greg Favell, congratulations. You'll be starting in the pro split next week, I'd imagine, with a performance that dominating or demoralising of the competition around you. Brilliant performance. Greg Favell wins at Mount Panorama in a canter.
Here comes Chuk Fung Wong to take home a well-deserved second place, winner of the series regulars in the amateurs, and we're taking a big bite into Reece Dickinson's lead at the top of the championship. Matthew Brunt takes home the final podium position, having defended from Juno in the last couple of laps.
And that's a good point as well that you make, Liam Banks. Fung Wong needed to reel in Dickinson ever so much tonight and managed to do so. 3 positions up the road on Dickinson. So Fung Wong, Brunt, Zuno, Snadden, 3 Bimmers there, 3rd, 4th and 5th, 4 of them in the top 5. We're going to see 6 Ferraris in the 10 because look at this, have a look at this. Francone's got ahead of Mackay whilst we're watching Favell cross the line. Mackay now finds himself 11th with a big send to the chase on the final lap and 2 deep, and he's managed to pull it up somehow. Mackay is still going to find his way to the top 10. 3 manufacturers in the 10 by the skin of their teeth. Onto the main straight, checkered flag in the air, and he gets 10th. Well done. Had to fight bloody tough for it. Francone, he hit the wall. He hit the wall coming onto Conrod. So he's done even better to actually withstand the pressure of Francone and find a way back down the inside and muscle his way out of it. Back into the top 10. Behind Snadden in 5th place was Dickinson, Holland, Fuge, Schultz, then Mackay with that move there. Bang, down the inside. And Francone actually, it looked like he backed out of that. He thought, hang on, if you want it more, you can have it. Well done. Brilliant. Now, let's see who's going to the jump and who's not. Josh Zuno is going to have a crack. This is good. This is my favourite part of the night when we go to Bathurst. Mackay 10th, Francone, Tice, Yarwood, then Watson, Visma made up the top 15. I'll get to the rest of them in just a moment. Only 15 finishing on the lead lap. Here's Zuno. He's fluffed the entry, really. Bang.
He's way too far left.
Come on,
here we go.
Josh. Here's Dane Snadden having a crack. Oh, that's terrible.
Extra points for style, though.
No, they're not. They're too far left. They're not narrow enough on the entry. Here we go. There, that's how it's done.
Beautiful.
Bang. Reece Dickinson, perfect. And even with the pirouette upon the impact with the concrete on the inside there, fantastic stuff. Kevin Henderson's joining us. We'll get to him in just a moment. Stay there with me, mate. We're just going to see who nails the jump here at Mount Panorama and who does not. Aiden Schultz is going to have a crack. So Dickinson, Holland, Fuge, Schultz made up the top 9. 5 Ferraris, 4 Bimmers, and a Merc in the top 10. The first of the Audis was Tim Watson in 14th. The first of the Porsches was Neil Gladwin in 16th. He finished a lap down. Christensen 2 laps down. Johnson 4 laps down. Chiplin 7 laps down, just scraping in on 75%. But I'm pretty sure he disconnected from the server, so he won't even be classified. And there'll be a question mark over the other 2 as well. I think Christensen got home. That's how it's done. Oh, well done, Luke Mackay. Firstly, the move of the night to get back into the top 10 after losing it twice. And then, Francone's not even going to have a crack at it. He's out of fuel. And then oh no. And then the best jump in the lot as well, the cleanest jump in the lot. Fantastic. This is Tim Fuge, and this is Tim Fuge getting stuck in the wall, isn't it?
He's the other fuel he's damaged as well.
Oh no. Wait for it. Whooshka. Oh no. That's fantastic. Chiplin stayed in the server, we're being reliably informed. Thank you, Sammy. So Chiplin will get classified in 19th. Ben Woods and everybody else beyond will not. And there you go. So that's the lay of the land, and that's how it all broke down for you on a Monday night. A long list of attrition here. Hanma, Zamora, McGrath, McIntyre, Brooks, Craig, Schmidtke, Bullock, Seidel and Campbell, also Woods and Johnson, and that was it. So, yeah, more than 10 retirements from that race. But at the front, all you need to know is that Greg Favell has a one-way ticket to the Pro Split next week. Utterly dominant tonight here at Mount Panorama. Matty Dench is joining us for a chat from the Pro Split, which means things must have gone relatively well. David Johnson is here to have a chat about the Pro Split too. And then, of course, we've got Kevin Henderson from Race Control. Did they make you work hard tonight, Hendo?
No, they never make me work hard, Zach. Not in this split. There was only one incident involved in. I'll just run you through the top 5. We had Matthew Dench in first place yet again. Alan Holgerston in second, Glenn Arnott third, Simon Cox fourth, and Daniel Birchnell's rounded out the top 5.
You almost don't sound surprised by the fact that Denchi led the field home, Hendo.
Well, it was a bit of a shock at first, but I'm sort of getting used to it now.
Oh, brilliant. Hey, 29 laps completed there as well, slightly faster pace, 2:02.037 from Matty Dench, the fastest lap of the night. Holgerson, Arnott, Cox, Birchnell, then Woodmuir, Green Knight, and Williamson made up the top 10. Good to see Lethal back in the split in the server. David Johnson there, who we'll get to him in a moment, up there in 12th place. Jonathan Hooper, Jeff Adams, John Wright. What will be interesting to see is what that means for the championship, because let's be perfectly honest, Simon Cox was starting to get within striking distance of Matty Dench, but Denchi's restored order tonight. Josh Zuno, well done to Reece Dickerson on keeping it clean through that silly side-by-side action I put him in. And well done to Josh Zuno on a very nice performance there for 4th place tonight. Gentlemen, nice to have you here. Hendo, anything of particular interest?
No, it's just popped in to give you the results, and as I said, these boys drive very, very well. Hardly make me do any work at all.
And you must be looking forward to next Monday night and the grand finale of the season.
Yes, it should be just as exciting as all the rest. While they don't keep me busy, it's very entertaining watching.
Absolutely. 100%. We'll echo that on your behalf, no doubt. These guys are clinical. Each and every Monday night they put on a show, and it's a pleasure to be here to witness it. Now, there was Matt Schmidtke, unfortunately, being the victim of netcode there early in the piece. As you watch the highlights of the AM split race from here at Mount Panorama, let's dissect what happened in the Pro Split. And also, we can now... actually, no, we've lost him. We did have Matty Brunt standing there in the waiting room, but we'll wait and see if he comes back. He's now actually out having a chat with William Yarwood. So if anyone from the AM split comes back to have a chat to us, we will do so momentarily. In the meantime, if they don't, we're looking at an early mark tonight, Liam Banks, and considering we're doing overtime next week, I don't think anyone's going to complain in the slightest. Right, let's dissect the crap out of that one, because firstly, Liam, I'll get some final thoughts from you on the AM split before we go and talk to the Pro boys, because once again, we know Lambo's dominating the top split through in the form of Denchi. And thanks to Hendo, by the way, he's already departed before I even had a chance to say goodbye, but we'll catch up with him next week. And I do want to know, actually, nice plug, David Johnson, and nothing subtle about that, but we'll get to that in just a moment. Let's just quickly cover off a couple of things here, Liam Banks. Greg Favell was brilliant. He's going to the Pro Split. I can't see any reason why he wouldn't. Obviously, his accomplice there at the top end of town was Anthony Visma. It was disappointing that Visma's night didn't go to plan there after that incident, and a second stop of 45 seconds. He lost 13 spots, ended up 15th, but on pace, I would suggest that he'll be buying a one-way ticket to the Pro Split as well. 4 Bimmers and 5 Ferraris. So, I mean, you look at the Pro Split and you look at the way in which Lamborghini are dominating there, and Porsche and Mercedes. It's totally opposite equation here in the AM split at the moment, where BMW and Ferrari are the kingpin.
100%. The Ferraris and the BMWs were absolutely immense around here. I would like to have seen what the Merc could have done in some of the drivers' hands a bit further up the championship, which is not knocking any of the drivers running them, but I don't think they got a fair crack at this race compared to the Ferraris and BMWs, which dominate the entries anyway. I'll be intrigued to see the results for the pros in terms of which cars finished where, to see if they saw something similar, because I bet we'll see a lot more Mercedes and Lamborghinis higher up the field. I don't think there's a single Lamborghini on track tonight, which is interesting. And I think you're right, Anthony Visma will make the jump up to the pros just based on that lap time that we saw, and the fact that he was keeping Greg Favell pretty honest towards at the start of the race. Maybe not as consistent as Favell, as evidenced by the fact that he'd dropped a few seconds behind before his incident, but definitely enough to get into the pros, I think. And I'd like to see what's going to happen with this title battle between Chuck Fung Wong and Reece Dickerson, because Dickerson 6th was an okay result. Qualified 6th, finished 6th, but when your main title rival's finishing in 2nd, you could do a bit more. He's going to be a little bit uncomfortable going into the final round.
Just welcoming Matty Brunt into the commentary box for the first time tonight as well. We'll get to him in just a moment after that podium finish in the AM split. But since he's already given it a plug, let's bring David Johnson in for chat here before we get to Matty Dench and Matty Brunt as well. Thank you, Liam Banks. Stay with me. Some final thoughts from you in just a moment. But David, nice to have you on board, mate. And the top 15 finish around Mount Panorama is nothing to sneeze at, especially considering that this is, as we detailed at the start of the season, your first crack at the Pro Split in its current guise. And the likes of Denchi and everybody else in there means that the stakes are definitely raised.
Yeah, absolutely. Came in tonight with minimal expectations, and actually went a bit better than I thought. So kept a few guys in range, and kept Richard King on his toes at the end there. Had 10th in sight, but 12th. Pretty happy with 12th. That was probably had a real filthy one at Le Mans last weekend, so it was nice to bank a decent drive.
Indeed, and of course, as you've quite rightly already highlighted, a mere warm-up for you for 13 days' time when we go around here for 8 hours.
Yeah, 100%. It wasn't by accident that you saw probably a couple of the guys on track from our team who've been missing a little bit on Mondays. Were had the eyes on this one as a bit of a warm-up to the 8 hours in just under 2 weeks. So straight to the plug. Anyone who enjoyed that, either on track or watching, we will be broadcast. We will have race control. I have faith Mount Panorama is going to finally see our login system safety car on the track. Surely
that's it.
Somebody's going to take care of that business. Look, I think the thing I like the most about this one is, I know this series, some people struggle a bit to get the practice in, and that limits numbers, but everyone knows Bathurst. Come along, have a one-off hit out. That's no problem at all. There's been some fantastic standards. The series has echoed, the sort of stuff Kevin talked about in terms of the Pro Split. And what I really like the most is, look, if you've got a few of your mates who are not Gents members, it is very, very reasonable in terms of price to sign them up as Enduro-only members. It's a bit of a footstep in. They can then do this race with you if you're a Gents member, and they'll be signed up for whatever we do in the back half of the year for Endurance as well.
Absolutely, and of course we're looking forward to seeing what the makeup of the schedule is for the second semester, as I like to call it, July through November, when we get closer there. Of course, we'll have this one on June 25, and then the guys have a habit of running around that last Sunday of the month, as you can see, April, May, June. So it'll either be that we get that underway again on the very last Sunday of July, or it'll be an August start with an October, November, December 5-month campaign. That'll be at the discretion of the organisers. Might even try and come in and give you guys a hand next Sunday morning before I take off to Fassifern for Sunday football, but we'll wait and see how we go on that, because that will be broadcast. It'll be in the reliable and capable hands of Sam Chapman and Liam Banks. 8 hours around Mount Panorama. A long, tough slog for those guys. Sunday, June 25, and looking forward to it immensely. And of course, if tonight's pace is anything to go by, well, they'll be pushing about if 29 laps is the benchmark, over an hour. 8 times 29 is 232. So yeah, there's a real distinct chance that the guys could go along at a fair clip and get us in the vicinity of the laps that they used to clock in the production car version of the 12-hour back in the day, in 2/3 of the time. So let that sink in for a moment, just how far we've come in terms of pace and car evolution. David, it was always going to be one of those cases where either people were coming in for just a quick warm-up and refresher at the circuit before they go racing in the GT3 Enduro, but at the same time, Mount Panorama also brings with it a couple of cameo appearances as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think for anyone that's on the fence, the one I really like, Zach, you mentioned pace and laps. You can see we've been over in Austria, we've been in Europe, and the servers are always set to the real world date. So we've been on the surface of the sun in Georgia and Atlanta. This one's going to be Bathurst in June. You'd think the surface will be ripe for some pretty flying lap times. So, yeah, for anyone who's on the fence, you're not going to come along and find a 50-degree track. I think you're actually going to see something you can really rip into and belt out some good laps.
Yeah, but in saying that as well, and I can say it now because we're past 9:30 Eastern, I still thought that those within the iRacing, circles and platforms, and those who put these weather servers together, they need to actually go and educate themselves with regards to what Bathurst in June is really like, because they were taking the piss if they thought that the ambient temperature is anything in the 20s. Bathurst is likely to get anywhere in the teens at this time of year.
I think the snow's coming after the rain, Zach.
Yeah. I think the rain server first. Let's work on that, and then get the snow server in there as well, all with the morning frost and fog to go with it. 21 degrees in June. Pull the other one that plays Jingle Bells. But no, looking forward to that, mate. Thank you. Appreciate that. And good luck with the Red Bull Ring next week. What are your thoughts on that? 90 minutes around one of the great horsepower tracks in the circuit.
Look, pretty much the same as this week for me. Just see if I can hold my own, find someone to have some good battles with, and stay on the broadcast for the right reasons and off it for the wrong reasons.
Very nicely done. Well put. Thank you. Go and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thanks, guys.
There he is, the great man, the secretary of the GSRC, David Johnson. Right. Matty Dench is here, Matty Brunt's here, and Simon Cox is here as well. We'll get to Coxie and Dench in just a moment. Firstly, to Matty Brunt, because at the end of the day, we were showcasing the AM split tonight, but I do want to talk to the two championship combatants in the pro split before we go as well. Matty, well done. 29 laps around there, pretty tough slog, but you did well to fend off Josh Zuno late in the piece and brought him home in third. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It was a last-minute decision with all the enduro season coming up at the moment. I thought I'd get some practice in, and managed to stay out of trouble. And Josh was a bit unlucky towards the end there and made a bit of a mistake, which let me pass. So that was the reason I got that position. But good night racing.
Certainly paid dividends, though. The fact that you saw the opportunity and you took it to come in and get some laps around here, which will hopefully serve you well for next Sunday. Nice. It's always probably more ideal than anything else to come and refamiliarise yourself with this place, because it's not straightforward.
No, I was actually I was keen on trying the new Porsche, and then it wasn't an option. I went, okay, I'll go back to the Beamer, but it's sort of a safer car to jump in with no practice, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. I've just getting a comment there on screen a few moments ago from Andrew McGrath, and he sent the same thing to me on Messenger. Mate, I will obviously reply to you as soon as we're off air and point you in the right direction, if I can. But yeah, let me just get off air first and catch my breath, and then I'll flick you a message. But thanks for coming along for the ride and enjoying the broadcast with us. Matty, obviously the question remains, now that you've refamiliarised yourself with Bathurst, will you come and have a play with the boys next week for 90 minutes around the Red Bull Ring or not?
Maybe. Look, I was always had in the back of my mind, I don't want to mess with anyone's championship because obviously I'm not in it. So I don't want to be one of those blokes that, does something.
Funny that we were talking about that during GT4 just quietly, but go on.
Yeah. No, it was in the back of my mind, and I wouldn't do anything to muck up someone's championship. So we'll see. It was more of a spur of the moment thing tonight, but it was good fun.
Indeed. Now, obviously, some of the best things in life happen on the spur of the moment. No doubt about that. Nothing like a bit of spontaneity on a long weekend. Again, I stress long weekend for most of the country, progressive and civilised parts of it at least. Matty, while we've still got you, mate, obviously the Enduro is taking the focus. What else in terms of GSRC competition have you got your eye on at the moment?
Mate, depending on what nights I'm home, I've been doing a bit of production car stuff and the open wheelers. It's always a good group of guys to race with, so it's always good racing.
I was going to say we had seen your name pop up with the production cars on a Thursday night, and that tests a different type of skill set, doesn't it? Jumping from car to car, week in, week out.
Yeah, it's probably more my fault that, or my issue with not getting faster is jumping from car to car with little practice. But anyway, it's all good fun.
Absolutely. Now, with regards to the BMW, I take it as I hazard a guess that this is the car you're running in the Enduros as well.
Well, I was keen on the new Porsche actually. I drove it and enjoyed driving it. I haven't been around Bathurst with it yet. I'll have to do some practice, but the BMW's sort of been my go-to, as I find it a bit easier to drive than the rear-engine cars.
You mentioned the new Porsche. There was also a recent BOP update as well, so that brings brings with it, I guess, a little bit of trial and error, because a lot of these guys will spend the 2 weeks between the finish of term 2 and the start of term 3 testing, seeing if there's any change in cars, seeing if one car suits them better than the other for the next season. By the sounds of it, you've got your eyes on that Porsche.
Yeah, it was actually good fun I didn't really gel with the old Porsches, but yeah, this one it seems good to drive. Like it's good fun and comfortable.
All right, mate. Very nicely done. And obviously, the Enduro is going to be quite interesting, with it being 8 hours around Mount Panorama. I take it that you have a knack for those longer races. You seem to enjoy those longer races.
Honestly, not really particularly.
Okay.
I haven't confirmed which Enduros I'm actually doing yet. I'm looking at the Watkins Glen one as well, and a couple others, but they're hit and miss for me, depending on what's going on. But if you can stay out of trouble, you normally have a good day.
Very nicely done. Hey, good to catch up with you, mate. Thanks for stopping on by. The Bimmer worked well tonight. Obviously, Chook was a little bit too far up the road, and Greg was in a different postcode, but you did what you needed to do on a night where so many cars around to come unstuck, and there was a fair rate of attrition to bring it home on the podium, so well done.
Yeah, and thanks for you guys running the show, and all the guys for good clean racing tonight. It was good fun. Thank you.
No, very nicely done. There he is, Matty Bryant. Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. We'll catch up with you next week. And we'll probably see you Thursday night, actually, before that. Let's bring in Matty Dench and Simon Cox now. Just when it was starting to look like you had a little bit of a sniff, Simon, he's eked out the margin yet again, making it all the more challenging for you to try and end one of the great legacies, one of the great eras of domination in GT3 competition on the platforms of the GSRC next Monday night.
Yeah, he did a great job tonight. There was no catching him, and but there is still 1 week to go, and anything can happen, like we've seen. So, but no, hopefully everything goes to plan for Matty, I guess, and myself and everybody else. So we'll chip away at it and see how we go next week.
Talk us through your race, mate. Obviously, we didn't see it. We've seen the results. Just talk us through it. A tough slog over 29 laps.
It was a very long race with Glenn Arnott and Birchnell. It was actually a really good race. Unfortunately, I had a really big moment on the first lap, going down the dipper or just before the dipper. Just trying to take it easy and warm the tyres up, and the car just swapped ends, and I don't know how I got the car back straight again and didn't even get an X for it. So but it was a testament to all the guys behind me that sort of able to pull it up and not create a big crash. So that was good for the field. But yeah, right at the end, Glenn just put his car in the right spot. I really didn't sort of get racy until sort of the last 4 or 5 laps because I was just tippy-toeing around the circuit, making sure I wasn't damaging the car. But yeah, he just put the car in the right spot and I couldn't get by him.
Actually, you make a really good point, and I'm sure Liam will back me up on this. Mount Panorama is one of those racetracks that you've got to treat with respect, and you have to nurse the car almost to that last few laps, that last few minutes, that last stint at least, and then go hell for leather and hope that it pays off. And obviously Glenn wanted a little bit more tonight, but bigger picture, you brought the car home in one piece, and that's the main thing.
Exactly, and that was the game plan for tonight, was just make sure I'd see the checkered flag. But yeah, no, Glenn did a great job. He had great pace throughout the whole race, and Birchnell was right there, not too far when he crossed the line. I think there was 3 cars within half a second.
Which is just the way we like it. It's amazing what this place offers up and dishes up, isn't it, Liam? Even after an hour and even after 2 rounds of pit stops and all the trials and tribulations, there can still be positional battles alive and well, right to the checkered flag.
Yeah, there can be, and it's such a punishing track that you could drive perfectly for 28 out of 29 laps. That one lap you didn't drive perfectly almost certainly means that you're out of the race, because that's just how Bathurst works, and that's why it's so fantastic, right? We like seeing drivers punished when they make a mistake. Racing is a game of mistakes. If they only made a single mistake, everyone would drive around at exactly the same pace, the maximum pace of the car. It's a game of minimizing mistakes, and when you make bigger mistakes that aren't just going slightly offline, you should be punished, and that's what Bathurst does, and that's why even 28 laps into a 29 lap race, everything can turn on its head.
Absolutely. Simon, is it a bridge too far now to catch the great man here when we get to the Red Bull Ring next week?
Look, it probably is, and it probably was sort of horse season with Matty's sort of pace that he's got. It's just incredible. But you know, great to have him in the championship. It just pushes everybody to try and catch him. You know, it's the
100%.
It's the hare in the greyhound race. You know, I just think I'll go and buy a Powerball ticket after lap 0 and having the card still drivable. But, you know, I'm looking forward to next week. It'll be really good. And unfortunately, Mitchell didn't race tonight. So,
no.
And Wayne didn't have a really good result either. So, yeah, I don't know what happened, but it could have been the Porsche spot got missed because the new build.
True.
On it. So I don't know how that worked.
Well, I was going to say Wayno was in the Lambo, was he not? And Richard, of course, not racing in the Porsche. Yeah. And that was important too, because Richard and Wayne are somewhat in a positional battle, and Oscar Glissett too. With regards to you were within striking distance of Denchi. I think the margin was only 21 points coming into the event. It's a little bit more than that now. But never say never in this caper. And the Red Bull Ring is a circuit that suits your car as well.
Hopefully. It probably does suit the car. Hopefully the nut behind the wheel suits
the spacer. Yeah, I like it. Glenn Arnott just highlighting that Richard's out for the last 2 races. So Mitchum's done. So therefore the positional battle for second is now, or for third in the championship is now a 2-horse race between Wayne Hewitt and Oscar Glissett. So that makes that all the more interesting because it's Lambo versus Lambo going into next week. And Richard will salvage whatever he gets, whatever sweeps up with the crumbs when every other calculation is played out. Anything for Simon while he's here, Liam?
I'll just say you've done a really good job to take Denchi this far, and don't rule yourself out in the final. We've seen a few mistakes already, and all it takes, as we said, is one mistake at another track that can punish mistakes. And you're there, and it's a credit that you're there, because we've seen seasons where there's been nobody there to capitalise at the final race, even if Matty Dench didn't rock up. So the fact that he's actually got to rock up and he's got to put in a decent effort and he can't just retire is really good to see. It means that we're getting closer to somebody breaking that incredible winning streak that Matty's got.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Going on to 6 seasons by the time next week is done and dusted. Quite extraordinary. Half his luck. I envy Richard Mitchum on holidays in Europe. Look at that.
That's a good one to have.
I wouldn't mind being over there at the moment, because the Ashes are, of course, starting up. We've had Le Mans over the weekend just gone as well. And, of course, Wimbledon's not too far away, or the Tour de France either. So it's a good time to be in Europe at this time of the year. But it does mean missing out on so much back home. So, much of a muchness. But at least for Richard, he does feel at home. I really don't. That's the one thing I've never really broached with him, is how a bloke from England with British roots handles the heat and humidity of Singapore. I don't think I'd be able to. No. Very nicely done. Hey, Simon, thank you, mate. Appreciate that. Well done tonight. Kept it in one piece. Keeps the championship alive. Takes it into the final week of school, and that's what we like to see.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
And M. Dench, welcome into you. A result you desperately needed, really, to curve the trend of the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we just sort of turned down the speed a little bit, get the consistency back, and just run it home.
And just gave yourself a little bit more of a buffer, a little bit more breathing space, a little bit more of a points advantage to play with next week, but you would be really hoping that you don't need to rely on it.
Yeah, so next week is a lot of points up for grabs being in Enduro round, but we'll just aim for top 3, and that should be enough to wrap it up.
I liked Simon's comment, though, about only running, only going through the motions for the first 2/3 of the race, and then flexing the muscle a little bit more prominently in the final stint. And that's usually the way you go about your business as well.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what I did there tonight. In the first stint, we just took it nice and easy, just getting into a rhythm, saving a bit of fuel, and then after the pit stop, we started to pick up the pace a little bit. And then after the second pit stop, we tried to set as many quickest laps as we could.
And I guess as well, Denchi, one of the great running or winning streaks of the club is there to be extended for you next week, and it's not just on a Monday night but a Thursday night as well, mate. But the Porsches, I tell you what, you can't afford to sneeze there after, of course, how Thursday night played out. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, the Porsche's going to be a little bit tougher. Points are really close, and yeah, we just got to do what we did here tonight, and just start off slow and work into it and come home strong.
As far as this one's concerned, we'll come back to the Porsches, but with regards to this one, the Red Bull Ring, one of the more astonishing points of interest there from Thursday night just gone too, ladies and gentlemen, is that it was a 3-way tie for, I think it was 3rd on points in that Porsche round. Adam Lavis was telling us earlier in the piece, and Denchi was one of them. So it just goes to show you how unpredictable and how extraordinary that round at Long Beach was, and how it all played out, because the scorecards were so lopsided and so topsy-turvy with incidents happening left, right and centre. It really threw a spanner in the works and the cat amongst the pigeons, but Denchi still managed a top 3 finish on points for that round, and that's what's kept him in the fight with Corey Lazarus. Long Beach mates, tough assignment, long straights, flowing fast corners, and you've often undersold the Lambo and its potential on those high horsepower tracks. How are you feeling about next week?
Yeah, next week should be fine, I think. We know a way around there, so we'll just make something happen.
All right, Liam, anything for Mr. Dench while we've got him?
really good to see you back up top. I think that's where you, let's face it, where you probably belong in this series at the moment. As much as it's nice,
it's his spiritual home.
It is a spiritual home. As much as it's nice to see you having to work for it a bit harder this season and being kept on your toes to the final round, it's also a misunderstood concept in sports. People tune into sports to watch close competition. Studies have shown that sports do their best when somebody dominates because people tune in to watch the very best of their work, and that's what you do for the GSRC and the GT3s.
Yeah, I think the last couple of weeks we're just going a little bit too hard, and yeah, we just need to turn it down just a tiny bit.
Particularly just in those few meters between the pit box and the pit line.
Yeah, so tonight was really good. The pit exit was right at my box. So.
Well, it helps when you qualify on pole, doesn't it, Denchi?
It sure does.
Absolutely. Yeah, it must have been nice to just, shake the last 2 weeks off that have been nothing short of frustrating and just get back to clinical racing 101 business that we've come to expect from you. And obviously that reaffirms the points table at the top of the tree for you, and it also sends a message to the rest of the pack that, yep, you might slip up occasionally, but you bounce back pretty well as well.
Yeah, that's right. I know I've always got really good pace, so you can just back it down a tiny bit and get that consistency back and just poke along at that.
All right, very nicely done. Hey, just quickly with regards to, because I don't think we even broached the topic with the boys from the Pro-Ams, from the M split, I should say, but what about tyre wear around here tonight, mate?
No, tyres were perfectly fine for me.
So you just took fuel and that was it?
Yeah, fuel only.
Oh, very nice. It varies track to track, doesn't it? It's been one of the great game changers this season, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It also really depends on how hard you push in the car. Like if you go flat out early on, then you probably want tyres because you just get too much heat in them, then they don't feel very good. So.
And the track temperature as well, Denchi. I mean, it was rather nice and cool and pleasant from what we saw.
Yeah, so 22-degree track helps get that helps keep the tyre temperature nice and low, and yeah, if you just cruise along, it's perfectly fine.
Very nicely done. It is one of the most dominant records going in sim racing circles on the platforms of not just the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, but iRacing full stop. From M. Dench, and he has a chance to extend it from 5 consecutive championships in GT3 and Porsches to 6 over the course of the next fortnight. He's one step away from ticking box number 6, title number 6 in GT3. We're looking forward to seeing if he can wrap it up this time next week. You won't want to miss that. Hey, Denchi, thanks again, mate. Well done, and looking forward to seeing you at the finale on Monday night next week, and also, of course, for the penultimate round of the Porsches this week. And thankfully, no sprint round to deal with this week in that caper, but you do have a triple treat of it next week. Thanks for that.
Yeah, we'll catch everyone later in the week.
Very nicely done. It's just incredible, the statistics this guy racks up season on season, Liam. And I mean, when he racks up 6 next week, if he racks up 6 in both, then the question has to be asked, surely 7 and 8 do come this year as well, unless something absolutely extraordinary unfolds beforehand.
Well, I think we talked mostly about the GT3 tonight, but the Porsche Cup is the interesting one, isn't it? Because it's so tight between himself and Corey Lazarus. You think if anyone's going to stop that domination, it will be Corey in the Porsche Cups. That's, I think, the closest we've seen to someone being able to compete on pace and strategy. And the GT3s, it does tend to be a mistake that puts him down the grid, and he's just made a few more this season. Even then, it's just been the same mistake twice really in the last 2 races that have really made it close. It's going to take a big leap from someone in the GT3s to actually compete with him on pace and strategy across the season and get the kind of wins that Mercedes dreamed they could get over Red Bull in the F1. The kind of thing what we saw. You want to see a battle like the 2020 F1 season with Hamilton and Verstappen, where they're both getting wins on merit. It was always going to be whoever got the most wins on merit. Let's ignore the final race, shall we? But you don't want to see like a Rosberg Hamilton where it's less on merit, and it comes down to look. That wouldn't be a way we'd want to see Denchi lose his run of titles, right? You want to see it be on merit, and
100%.
Rory Lazarus is closest to doing that, and someone's going to make a big leap in GT3 if they're going to do it here.
Actually, you just said a key word there, on merit. I haven't seen John for a while, and he was the last one, I'm pretty sure, Adam Lavis to beat Matty Dench in a Monday night slot.
Pretty sure.
Interesting. All right, very nicely done. We're set fair for what will be a tantalising grand final week next week here on the platforms of GSRC. But before that, we've still got plenty coming your way. Where are we at with regards to championship points, Adam? Can we update everybody on GT3 AM? Righto. We might even be able to update you on GT3 Pro, the way Adam's going. He's crunching the numbers well here.
But the good thing about it, Liam, is there have been instances where, because of Dench's dominance in the past, we've come here week 10 of a term with a dead rubber and nothing to play for in terms of the outright prize. Positional battles obviously lower down the chain, certainly up for grabs. Next week, we've got live championships across the board, and that's hugely exciting for all concerned. Yeah, it is, isn't it? it's yeah, I mean, you've said it all. I just wanted to very quickly plug the endurance race on the next weekend.
Yep.
If you've been watching this and you've whetted your appetite to get back in a GT3 car around Bathurst, and you want to do that sooner rather than later, then the 8 hours are a week on Sunday is the perfect time to do that. Thank you very much for pulling that up. It's the finale of the Endurance Championship, but feel free to come in and treat it like a one-off event and just go for the win. It'll win you some pride within the GSRC. It'll bump out the grid. It'll mean those gaps between the regulars are even greater, so more points are on offer to try and make up those positions in the championship. Had some really good racing so far, and I expect that will continue. And of course, we'll have a live broadcast, as you mentioned before, with me and Sam Chapman doing the broadcast for the first hour and a half and the last hour and a half, with a gap in the middle, and we'll obviously bring up to date on everything that happens within that gap.
Well, that's exactly right. It's going to be a long day at the office trying to join the pieces of the puzzle together with 5 hours off air, but good luck to you boys with that one. So that's Sunday, June 25, Sunday week right here on the platforms of the GSRC. Very nicely done tonight, mate. What stood out for you? Actually, hold that thought, come back to you. There are the championship standings as they look after round 9 of Waste Options GT3 AM. Reece Dickerson on top, 47 the advantage to Chuk Fung Wong. Then another 51 back to Adam Lee Holland and Adam Chiplin. It's a Ferrari 1, 2, 3. Holland the big mover tonight. Brett Chiplin there. Those two fighting for third in the championship, joined by Matt Schmidtke on 297 and William Yarwood on 294. 4 cars, 8 points, and third on the championship podium for grabs and on the line. Everything to play for there next week. Tim Fuge is next in 7th place on 279, 251 for Ben Woods, 243 for David Christensen. He was unlucky tonight, and 238 for Brian Bullock make up the top 10. BMW, Porsche, and Ferrari dominate that top 10, 4, 4, and 2. Ferrari, BMW, and Porsche. Not a football formation. Tim Watson, of course, is just outside behind James Frencone. The first of the Audis. The first of the Fords is Greg Heaney. The first of the Mercedes is, of course, Greg Padgett, who was MIA tonight for reasons already explained. As far as the rest of it's concerned, GT3 Pro, oh boy, 48 points the margin. Dench has got a little bit of wriggle room to play with there as well, with drop rounds coming into play. Simon Cox not as much. In fact, even with Simon's drop, if Simon was to drop next week and take that 45, he still doesn't catch Dench. So that's important to note.
You remember those points? That's two rounds worth of points. So Dench's got 2 rounds there. The 45 is Simon's only drop. So that's his drop points. If Denchi has a DNF, he gets 36.
Okay, which would take him up to 500 on the nose. So yeah, Simon would fall 39 short on that note if he was to not score next week. So it's looking pretty good for M. Dench at the moment. Wayne Hewitt, Richard Mitchum, Nick Wood and Oscar Glissard, who was 19th tonight by the look of it. So a shocker for Oscar. Nick Wood's got up into the top 5 of the championship, displaced Oscar. Richard's, of course, been displaced by Wayne Hewitt, who was a DNF despite taking 1 point out of the round. 340 plays 337. We know that Nick Wood and Oscar Glissett with a decent enough finish next week should displace Richard Mitchum as well. Glenn Arnott, Daniel Birchnell, Sam Muir and Shane Clancy make up the top 10. There's a Mercedes, there's a couple of BMWs, there's a Ferrari, there's a Porsche, and there's a couple of Lambos in the top 10 there at the moment. So 5 different manufacturers, and that's really nice to see. So no McLaren, no Audi, and no Ford in the top 10 in that championship. John Wright, the best placed at the Audis, in 14th place at this point in time. Positional battles, 9 points between Glissett and Arnott, and another 2 back to Birchnell, and another 4 back to Muir, and another 8 back to Clancy. So 23 points covers 5 drivers there, all fighting for the bottom half of the top 10 at this point in time. Very nicely done. Everything to play for. Jared Knight in the box seat as far as the GT4 championship is concerned. Matty Dench in the box seat in GT3 Pro, and in GT3M, of course, it is Reese Dickerson going into the final round. But anything can happen. There's plenty to play for. So make sure you don't miss what we bring you next Monday night. Reese Dickerson and Adam Lee Holland continue to dominate the teams championship at the moment, from Richard Mitchum and Glenn Arnott and Nick Wood and Daniel Birchnell. There's the intel. That's why Glenn Arnott knew of Richard Mitchum's whereabouts, because he's flying the flag alone in the team's fight, in the team's race over the next couple of weeks. And of course, it's a twitchy foot 1-2 as far as pro teams are concerned, but they're not going to catch the side hustle boys there in the pro from the AM split if things continue along the trajectory that they're currently on. Matty Dench on his own, 464 points and 5th in the teams championship. So he might not win the teams championship, but 464 is a fair effort for a solo entry. And then, of course, there are 3 twitchy foot teams in the top 10, and there are 2 side hustle teams in the top 10 as well. And just either side of the 10 there, you got a Brum racing car in combo in 10th, and in also 12th, and Matt Schmidtke going it alone in 11th out of the AM split as well. Liam, final thoughts from you before we wrap this baby up. Thanks some sponsors and get out of here at 10:30 Eastern. It'll be 11 o'clock next week, folks, I guarantee you. And then that's the earliest, considering we've got a race that won't finish till just after 10:15 Eastern time. Banksy, how do we sum up that night? It was hectic. It flew by, but it was bloody hectic around Oran Park for 25 minutes in GT4. We expected nothing less. Jared Knight has one hand on the title. Jordan Malcolm's going to be left to rue what might have been. And then, of course, what we've seen at Mount Panorama has whet the appetite for the grand finales of GT3 as well.
Oh, 100%. I think for me, the takeaway was we saw a couple of amateur rounds earlier in the season, and it was pretty clean, and most drivers got to the checkered flag. But we get to here, longer race, difficult track, and over the third of the field doesn't make the checkered flag. That just shows you how much of a part the track plays and how difficult it is to do a race. And Bathurst is one of the most difficult of them all, and it's not a surprise that we saw the massive increase in the amount of retirements in the GT3s tonight. GT4s were epic around Oran Park as always, and what I'd like people to look at home is if they go into the iRacing, which is a lot to ask, if you go look at the results for the GT3 Pro and look at how many retirements there are, I bet you there'll be a lot less, and that's one of the differences between the pros and the AMs, and shows the amateurs that are real class coming up to the top of the field, just like Chuck Fung Wong and Reese Dickerson, both finishing at or towards the front of the field.
Very nicely done from you, mate. Good luck with the GT4 finale call next Monday night, and I'll be jumping in with you for GT3 and looking forward to that immensely. Go and rest the vocal cords. It's a big night coming up next Monday.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to commentate alongside you, as it always is, and looking forward to having you alongside me for the GT3 and hopefully the back end of the GT4 if we're lucky.
Yeah, if we're lucky. Depends on how quickly I can munch down dinner, that is for sure. And Adam Lavis knows that that's not very quickly. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. I am keen to get back here for GT4, but I just don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it off. Yeah. We'll see how we go. For those of you that have just joined the broadcast and aren't aware, I've been drafted in as Plan C to run an outside broadcast for West Bromwich Radio's basketball coverage next Monday night, which goes from about 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. But then it's the pack up and the get home that is probably going to push me back into well after the start of GT4. And this is what happens when the big boss goes to Sydney and says, I need my sports anchor to actually do some overtime. So anyway, all good. I can't complain though, because I'm going to Sydney next month and I'm very much looking forward to that. On the subject, actually, quick shout out to anyone that is in the Sydney or Central Coast area, even down the South Coast way, Wollongong and the like, that might want to come to Sydney Motorsport Park and hang out with us on Saturday, July 15. The picture partner Sydney 300 is being run that day. The main race will start about 7 in the evening. Pretty sure I met Brett Bradbury in person there last year, if my memory serves. The race has already, in just 1 week of having opened entries, opened the portal for entries to be submitted, received 50 entries from cars representing 13 different manufacturers for the picture partner Sydney 300. If we continue on that trajectory, we could have a full field of 56. That's the track density. We could also break new ground with a record field for a Sydney 300. The previous record, 44. I'm not counting my chickens just yet, because last year we had 51 pre-entries and 7 dropped out because either the car wasn't ready or they contracted COVID. So I'm not counting the chickens just yet. But if you're in the Sydney area, July 15, get out to Sydney Motorsport Park. It'll be the Saturday of week 1 of term 3. So looking forward to seeing you there. Waste options. We can't do Monday Night Motorsport without them. We can't do the rest of it without the great people at Blackout Electrical Solutions, Login Systems, and also West Orange Motors. Good on you, Dave May. Of course, Astute, the finance, insurance and wealth mob in East Brisbane. I've got none of the above. Fisher and Door Lawyers. And, of course, Flash Graphics. Here's a look at what's coming away as far as the rest of week 9 is concerned on the platforms. The Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Hello, Mark Taylor. He's off to England for the Ashes. And don't forget, when we do get here next Monday night, the first test will be underway. So we will have updates from London or England or wherever they're playing for you during the course of the night. And there will be a couple of drivers moving to pro next week as well, unsurprisingly, in the GT3 ranks. We picked that, Liam Banks. Well done. Up and comers tomorrow night, Mustang FR500s from Lime Rock Park. Good combo, that. And that is a super sprint format from 7:55 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Wednesday night off to the Charlotte Roval for Formula Ford. That'll be fun too. 3 sprint races there. Then on to Sandown for a 40-minute race in the supercars from 8:45. Thursday, Grant Gill and I with you from 7:30 Eastern Standard Time as the Clio Cup cars tackle Winter Motor Raceway. The Clio Cup cars, the shopping cars around the clothesline. Very appropriate. Race starts 7:30, 2 sprint races there. Good value for money. The production cars have been right throughout the course of the season. In fact, you haven't been disappointed with anything that we've dished up this season. The GT4s have been great. The GT3s equally as good. And then Thursday night just continues to deliver week in, week out. Following the production car challenge, the penultimate round thereof, this is, of course, week 9 of term 2. We take you to the Hockenheim Ring in Germany for Blackout's Electrical Solutions Porsche Cup. And that'll be a 60-minute affair from 8:45 Eastern Standard Time. Just getting word through as well, and you see it at the top of your screen now, that tomorrow night's race will actually be broadcast to the Mustangs from Lime Rock, so join the boys for that. Friday night, the USF 2000s tackle Las Vegas Motor Speedway. 2 sprint races from 8:30 Eastern. No Saturday night or Sunday motorsport to plug this time around, which means we turn our attention immediately to grand final week. Sandown first up, the GT4's 45 minutes there from 7:30 p.m. That's 20 minutes more than what we've become accustomed to with the GT4 Championship at the moment. The grand finale has been that way all season long, that extra 20 minutes. And just to throw the cat amongst the pigeons and the spanner in the works, 45 minutes around Sandown, well worth the price of admission, much like tonight at Oran Park was. The boys will be with you from 7:30. I'll be jumping in with them straight after for the GT3 race, the championship decider. Can Matty Dench secure title number 6? We'll find out next Monday night. Race start 8:45 Eastern Time. So that's also 15 minutes later than usual. Finish will be around about the 10:15 mark. Then the post-race show, the championship wash-up, all that sort of stuff. Coming your way next Monday night. right here on the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club, and the rest of Grand Final week will follow from there. GSRC.myshopify.com or the other website takes you there as well, merch.tgsrci.com. Either or, one of those websites will take you to the merch store that has been set up by the club internally. You can grab hoodies just in time for winter. You can grab some t-shirts, some stubby holders, some bottle openers, whatever your heart desires, and go crazy. Sink your teeth into plenty of the great merch that's available there, because that's just one way in which we continue to ensure that the wheels keep turning and we're able to stay with you and bring you these broadcasts on a Monday and a Thursday night. On behalf of Liam Banks, Adam Lavis, the rest of the broadcast commentary and production team here, I'm Zach Caban. Hope you enjoyed an Aussie double on the back of the King's Birthday long weekend for progressive and civilised parts of the country, and very much looking forward to seeing what the rest of Term 2 has in store for us, because the first 8 weeks and one night have been top shelf. There's no doubt about that. Greg Favell got the job done here at Mount Panorama in the AM Split. Matty Dench in the pros. And, of course, Rd-9 has one hand on the GT4 title after Jordan Malcolm bit the concrete at Oran Park. On behalf of Liam Banks, Adam Lavis, and the rest of the crew, thanks for being with us. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Can't wait to have you with us again when Grant Gill picks up the helm and the ranks and the reins, I should say, of the producer booth on Thursday night, when we bring you some production car racing from Winton and some Porsches from Hockenheim. Until then, have a great evening, everybody. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I'm Zach Caban. Bye for now.